All right, it is 7 o'clock. I would like to bring this February 10, 2026 meeting of the regular town council meeting to order. And Keith, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let's move on to C, presentations and recognitions. Number one, I'd like to invite our state legislators to come up and give us an update. Come on up, please, up front. Thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate you being here.
So you have half of our legislative delegation here. Hopefully we'll see the other half before too long, but see how it goes.
We're going to start with the best.
We got the more important half.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Okay. So I hope all of you know Representative Martinez from Plainville, who also represents a portion of Farmington, and Mike D'Amico is my name. And I just want to say, first of all, congratulations to all of you for your success in the recent election. Don't take it for granted, and you shouldn't either. The work that you do is completely voluntary, and you put in a lot of time, a lot of hours, a lot of sweat to do what's right, for the town, and you do it as volunteers, and I really genuinely appreciate that. So you should feel proud of what you do and how you do it. So just want to get that out of the way. So. Did you want me to start? I mean,
please.
You want me to talk? There are lots of things we could talk about. We could talk about, the governor's proposal, for budget adjustments. But first, I just want to talk about a couple of Farmington things, if that's okay with you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Did you want to say anything, Rebecca?
Go ahead and start off.
Okay. So, well, a couple of things. First of all, hopefully it goes without saying, but one of my jobs, our jobs is to make sure that the town of Farmington is well represented in the legislature, and a big part of that is making sure that our municipal aid and our education aid stays at the level that we expect it to be, and that is fair to us. And so I just wanted to assure everyone that I will work as hard as I can. I know Rebecca will do the same to make sure that our municipal funding stays at the level that it should be. So, and I guess the caveat to all that is, and I tell this to everybody, and I'll say it to you, you're going to see a lot of, the governor presented, his proposal for budget adjustments. We're in the middle of a 2-year budget cycle right now. So we had a budget from last year. So, some changes will be made to the 2-year budget this year. Don't get too excited about what you read and see. Everything right now is a proposal. So it is February. And as most of you are well aware, things change a lot in the legislative process from February until May. So if there's something that you're really concerned about, tell me, tell Rebecca, tell our 2 senators, but don't assume that just because it's in the public domain today, that doesn't mean it's going to be the same in May, when the legislative session ends. So, there's a lot of negotiating that goes on in between. So, and the other thing I should tell you, again, I think it doesn't need to be said, but I will say it, get it on the record. If there are any needs that you have, and I know you have a lot of projects, I looked at your ambitious plans, strategic plan for the next several years. So if there are any needs that require any kind of grant money or any kind of bonding money from the state of Connecticut, please let us know, and let us know, ahead of time, not at the last minute, and we will try our best to make sure that we get an allocation for whatever project is necessary. So I know you have a lot of things going on. The third bridge that's been talked about for a long time, sidewalks, and I know you have a firehouse ad hoc committee that's going to require a significant investment of money. So any of those projects that require something from us, let us know ahead of time. Let us know, and we can talk about it and see what the best way forward is. So I think I've talked too much already. No, can I turn it over to you to make it a little more interesting?
Yeah, absolutely. No, exactly what Representative D'Amico was saying is accurate. Just please reach out to us for any budgetary requests. I serve on appropriations, children, general law, and public health, but I'm happy to, if I don't have the answer to any questions that come up, to get that for you, as well as any, I do know that there have been some concerns in Farmington. I've been hearing from Farmington residents about the trail, which is in my other town of Plainville. I have been having several meetings with Department of Transportation to work on some various issues with that trail. So the B section of the trail we're working on, we have a few small businesses that were slated to lose their parking spots originally. So we've been able to work through that. We're trying to work through a couple other small businesses so they don't lose theirs, and some homes that would be impacted by eminent domain. So it's been a very complicated project with having very narrow roads. But we are meeting continuously on that. So if you are getting any specific questions, or if there's anything that I get answered from you that you guys are hearing about, please let me know. But I have been talking to constituents pretty regularly about the trail.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to give you a brief, just a really brief synopsis of what I thought were some of the highlights of the governor's budget address to the legislature last week. There were like 4 or 5 things that stuck out for me as well as others, I think. The governor is proposing an energy rebate to households within a certain income range, either $200 per family or $400 per family, to kind of ease the burden on energy prices. Some people think this is a good idea. Some people aren't too thrilled with this idea. But that's a proposal that's on the table, and of course it is. I think that the genesis of it is certainly the high energy costs that we pay here in the state of Connecticut, but more specifically the public benefits charge that has been kind of controversial and gotten a lot of attention in the last several years. And I would just say, from my own perspective, the public benefits charge is exactly what it sounds like. There are programs that are mandated by the legislature that the public utilities are required to offer to the public in order to move us towards a green energy future, a clean energy future, energy efficiency. And by having these programs, which make us more energy efficient, we are able to use less energy and have the grid, the electric grid, be more reliable and hopefully keep down some of the costs. So when people say let's get rid of the public benefit charge, I think it's a short-sighted approach because there are many public benefits that accrue to us as a result of that charge. On your bills. The governor also proposed, again, this is going to be somewhat controversial, free school breakfasts for all kids in the state of Connecticut, so that no kid would have to go to school hungry. This has been bandied about for a few years. The devil's in the details, but he seems committed to doing this, and we'll have to work out the financial part of it. The governor also proposed the Connecticut option, in other words, universal affordable health care for all. Again, that will be controversial, particularly due to the fact that we live in the insurance capital of Connecticut. Some people aren't going to be happy about that proposal, but it's worth having a discussion on. So I thought those were some of the highlights from his speech, and something that you might want to have a discussion on. Beyond that, I can tell you what the committees that I'm on 4 different committees. I think Rebecca is on 3 or 4 different committees. I can tell you what's going on in those committees, and I'm happy to do that. But I will turn it over to my colleague so you don't have to listen to my voice for too long.
Sure. So we are just starting our committee meetings. General law, we are having our first agenda tomorrow, where we'll be sitting down and talking about some concepts of some of the bills. One of the biggest bills that general law is taking up is AI and AI protections. So I'm very much looking forward to the meeting tomorrow and to get some more information on that. One of the bills that I proposed to the chair was about grocery stores and delivery services for food. What we're finding is that, say, myself and Rep. D'Amico can order the same groceries from the same store to be delivered. There could be a 23% price difference. They are able to pick up on AI things like your usage, your cell phone battery life. If I order red grapes every single time I grocery shop, then red grapes will be more expensive when I come in because they know that I'm going to want those red grapes. So there has been some studies done this year, and we're looking to act on that because right now in the state of Connecticut, you can charge two separate prices like you would for a car or something of that nature. So the bill I was proposing would make it so that you would not be able to charge myself and Rep. D'Amico different prices for the same items. Public health, we are taking on a number of bills from everything from well water protections to healthcare. One of the bills that I'm probably most passionate about is creating a system for healthcare worker safety where we can, there would be a banner so people would be alerted if a patient was combative. And they would know ahead of time for healthcare worker safety because we've seen healthcare worker assaults go up significantly in the last 10 years. Children's Committee, we will be meeting on next week, so that one I'm still waiting to see the agenda. I know that we are looking at doing things due to some of recent happenings earlier this year, or sorry, late last year, a 2-year-old choked to death at the YMCA. So I know we are proposing some drills and some safety mechanisms to ensure child safety. And appropriation is just starting to get into full swing, and I just would reiterate exactly what Rep. D'Amico said about anything you see now is definitely going to change a lot of times over between now and May. So if you are seeing anything you are concerned with, please let us know, and we'll advocate and get you any questions answered that you have.
So, can I just go into one more thing, and then I assume
Please do,
you guys
yeah.
have some questions. So I am not on the Government Administration and Elections Committee, but I do know that the chairs of that committee, which has to do basically with voting and elections, I know that the chairs as well as the Speaker of the House are committed to moving forward with no excuse absentee balloting. We up until a year ago, we had probably the most restrictive rules in the country regarding absentee ballots. You could only vote by absentee ballot for one of 6 specific reasons. The public voted pretty overwhelmingly in favor of a change to the state constitution to make it less restrictive. And now what this committee needs to do is to come up with recommendations to align certain state statutes with the changes that were made to the Constitution. So those two have to be in alignment with each other. And I know it's a top priority for the Speaker. And the reason I know that is because it's in Bill number 5001. That's the lowest number bill in the House. So if it's Bill 5001, that means that the leadership is behind it and they want to get something done on it. So I just wanted to inform you of that. So Rebecca talked about some issues on the Public Health Committee on which I sit and on which she sits. And I just wanted to mention one other thing that we're going to be looking at in that committee is changes of ownership of hospitals, private equity coming into the state of Connecticut and purchasing hospitals. We need, the feeling is that we need some guardrails and some rules about that in order to protect the interests of the patients and the public. The Public Health Committee is also going to be looking at vaccines, which will get everyone excited, obviously, as soon as you say the word vaccines. But there's been some talk and some concern that the guidance that's coming from the federal government regarding administration of vaccines and who's eligible for vaccines and who's eligible for payment for vaccines and so forth is not the best guidance in the world. And I think that they're going to try to find a way to give the commissioner of the Department of Public Health here in the state of Connecticut more authority to issue guidelines that are more in line with serving the public. So that's as diplomatically as I can say that one. So two other committees that I'm on. I'm on the Environment Committee, and a couple of things that we're going to be looking at in the Environment Committee is there's a proposal to set up, and I don't think this will happen this year, but it will be an interesting discussion this year, although it probably won't get us to a final bill, is the setting up of a climate super fund, which some people have labeled as make polluters pay. And the idea is that when large companies, large corporations pollute our environment, there is a cost. There is a social cost. There is a health cost. There is a financial cost to all of us. And the theory is that those companies should pay their fair share for the pollution that they engender. So stay tuned for that. That'll be an interesting public hearing. That will be an interesting debate. And since I talked about public hearings, I just wanted to mention, and I know that Kathy has taken advantage of this in the past, and all of you are welcome to take advantage. When we have public hearings at the legislature, you are welcome to join, and you should join. And we have made it, one of the benefits of COVID, not that anything was good about COVID, but one of the benefits of COVID is that we now have the ability for people to testify at public hearings remotely. So you can be in your living room 100 miles away from the state capitol, and you can testify remotely on the legislation that we are considering and debating. So you ought to take advantage of it if there's something that you really feel strongly about. So just one other thing, I'm also on the Energy and Technology Committee, and I know that the chairs of the Energy and Technology Committee are really concerned about expanding our solar programs here in the state of Connecticut and moving us in that direction. So, stay tuned for that. And there are all kinds of other bills that will make your head spin, but I just wanted to give you some of the highlights of the committees that I am on, and Rebecca same. But we're happy to talk about any of the legislation that's in front of us. So.
Thank you both.
Sure.
Do we have any questions? Keith, would you like to get us started?
Sure. Thank you both for coming. My first one was, I know last budget season particularly, we did. State funding came in sort of as we were wrapping up the budget, so that was very helpful. I know you mentioned that you're working very hard to make sure that we maintain, as much as we possibly can get from the state, which we really appreciate. One other area of help that was brought up when we were doing the strategic plan, we were in our conversations about it was it's difficult to get in touch with people from the DOT, and there was some talk that. Some just generalized resyncing of our traffic lights could really solve a couple problems that for people in Farmington, like I want to say anecdotally 4 years ago, there was a couple lights that we had really worked on and they had gotten better. And at some point they've sort of gotten off kilter. I won't bog down the roads, but I'm happy to if you reach out to me. But I think that for some of these issues that maybe are kind of more on the minor side for an operation as big as DOT, I think it's hard for us to get people here. I know on the big stuff they've helped out, particularly there's been people with some of the planning for the bridge and things like that. But this would be one that would be really helpful to people just everyday lives, just with whatever they can with traffic. So any support that you can give us there. And I'd be happy to coordinate with somebody or jump on or whatever, if there's something we can do to help out with that.
Yeah.
Mike, I wanted to follow up with you on composting.
Okay.
We had talked about it a number of years back. So I was on Green Efforts before, and I'm not anymore, but Patty is chair. And that was something that the members of that committee, so transparently, I don't believe in mandating composting to residents, but I do think it would be great if there was a program that would be, if you would like to sign up for it, you could be a part of it. And I know we had talked about, I was looking at our email earlier, but we had talked about DEEP and then the SMART program and Sustainable Connecticut for some of those things. So I just know that the Green Effort Committee has a bunch of people that really, this is a passion project for them, as many of the Green Efforts things are. And I think that they would really appreciate whatever help if we can get. We had talked about, I think Guilford maybe has reached out to, I could be wrong, but in that email had done something with that SMART program where they were able to get a sort of a voluntary composting program. So any help in that would be great.
Yep.
And then I just have just a question, I guess, for both of you, because you both probably travel on Route 6. We had also talked on for our strategic plan about the potential conversation of maybe these cameras that get your speed, right? And if you're speeding, you get a ticket based on the camera. How do you feel about those things? Like, what's your take on those? You like them? You don't like them?
I personally am not a big fan.
Okay.
But I know that several towns have already instituted them, working in collaboration with the Department of Transportation.
Yeah.
And I guess they've been relatively successful. I don't know. Well, there are two things. There are speed cameras and then there are red light cameras.
Yeah.
I don't want to say I'm opposed to them, but I think you have to be careful. I think when they were first introduced in some other states, the reports that I had read indicated that they were a great moneymaker for the towns and a great moneymaker for the state, but that shouldn't be the goal. So I would just caution you about that. I just in general. I have an aversion to Big Brother watching all the time.
Yeah, and you love the speed too.
No, I don't love speed. I do not. I do not love speeders. I do not. I'm a careful driver, and I want everybody to be a careful driver. But I just think that there's a certain element of Big Brotherism. So I think we have to be really careful with this.
Yeah. Same, or could I ask your take on it too? Yes.
Absolutely. I think there's recently been some more concerns about Big Brother watching with cameras and where data about residents is going. So I would definitely still like to see a good police presence in our municipalities. And I don't think that they're filling that gap by any means. So.
Yeah, I want to talk. I mean, I would be curious to talk to our police officers about their take on it, because that's important. Anecdotally, I know on Route 66 in Middletown, they've added some speed cameras, and for the half a mile stretch, there's 2 speed cameras. People go very slow, and then they speed back up again. So anyway, that's everything I had. Thank you.
Bill? Thanks, Brian. I only have one question I want to kind of address with you, because you've kind of covered a lot of things, and I'm still kind of bringing myself up to speed on all the challenges that the town councils have with unfunded mandates. I'm sure you're familiar with all those, Mike, and I would just say, as a general, Rebecca as well, as a general thought, be mindful when mandates are being handed down, that the cost to the municipalities is kept in mind. Because we fund all of our things through property tax, basically, right? Mm-hmm. And so just keep that in mind. But the one question I have is, I know that there's been some discussions about special ed reimbursement, and I know that under some the new kind of the governor's plan, Farmington may actually be looking to lose some special ed reimbursement. We haven't seen the recommended budget yet from our colleagues over on the Board of Ed, but we know that there's a significant pressure this particular year on Board of Ed. I'm sorry, on special ed, on the special ed side of things. And so I would just ask, as you go through whatever conversations about the funding in special education, that you keep in mind what Farmington is getting and doing everything you can to increase it. People will say, well, Farmington quote unquote handle it, but the reality is that people who don't live in Farmington don't understand that people come here and they'll come in the middle of the school year with kids with significant needs. And we can't, we have to cover that. We have to cover that expense, and it is a substantial burden on our school board budget. So I just ask that you keep that in mind as you go about your work. I know it's a short session, but that's important. And I'm really curious as to see what happens with some of this AI stuff. But that is an interesting. I'm glad to hear that the state's considering regulating it. I'm not someone who's necessarily generally in favor of regulating like technology and things. I think it's important to like technology kind of do its thing, but AI is definitely something that needs some consideration. So thanks, guys. Thanks for all you do. It's not easy what you do either. I appreciate your words at the beginning, but what you guys do is also not so easy. So thank you for your time and effort.
Patty?
Thank you both for coming. I have a couple things to hit on, tangentially or not environmentally related, because that's who I am. First, Rebecca, on the trail, just a comment that I know I've seen the articles. I know people have been upset in Plainville, and there's both sides of the story. I just want to make sure that as a representative of Farmington, we don't lose sight of the fact that when the trail completion in Plainville benefits Farmington, including and just, obviously residents, but also our businesses, and being able to connect our trail or our businesses to the communities. And that I'm not really bad with directions, but in that direction towards Plainville. And I'm really, I moved to Farmington in 2011, and I've been really excited to watch the trail expand over time. And I'm really excited for this last little piece, because I have been that way many times and said, oh, I'm at the end, I need to turn around now. So I'm excited, but I'm also excited for the benefit that it gives to our businesses and our town centers. The trail goes right through Unionville Center. And I think it's an excellent way to try to expand the business opportunities, or the customers that are getting in the door for our businesses. It's hard to run a business right now. So anything we can do to get customers in the door is great. Keith already asked about composting. I'm just going to say that the committee is still very eager about it. And I'll be mentioning this later, but in my Green Efforts update, but on April 21st, Green Efforts will be planning to have, we haven't quite, we're like this close to finalizing it, an event at the library focused on waste reduction, but we're working on getting a master composter to come talk to people about composting. And also, Mike may remember the recycling event from 6 years ago. We may be revisiting recycling because people really like to talk about it. But to Bill's point on unfunded mandates, I know there's a big one, and I never can remember what it stands for, but the MS4 permit regarding the discharge of water into the storm sewers that ultimately makes it into the river. And I know towns have significant obligations under that permit, and because I've been on both sides, on this side, but also as a lawyer advising towns as to what they have to do. And a lot of those costs can be steep. I know that with the NIPS bottles deposit, towns are now required to use that towards environmental, and my recollection is Farmington used that in order to fund a street sweeper a few years back. But I can tell you that the members of the Green Efforts Committee see that and they say, well, what can't we use that money towards something, a bonus? And I'm not objecting, I understand that we need to, when complying with the MS4 permit and having this money come in through the NIPS deposit is helpful for that. But I think it would be helpful if the legislature, to Bill's point, pays attention to when we have these really steep high obligations. I know the legislature doesn't control this, but when DEEP revised one of its industrial waste permits a few years ago, that ended up placing a big burden on water pollution control authorities, because suddenly things that were being permitted at the state level were now being permitted at the local level. So it's just, I think there's a broad scope of unfunded mandates coming from, and I don't know what comes from other agencies because I know DEEP, but I don't know the others. So between the legislature and DEEP and other agencies, I think it's important to look at the broad scope because sometimes these small, like the MS4 permit doesn't get seen as this big unfunded mandate, but they all add up over time. And my last comment's about energy. I'm going to have to look at the climate change Superfund issue. I have not. But it did. I do think, Connecticut has a big problem with grid stability, energy reliability. I don't know where we are in the nation right now in terms of energy costs. It floats between 49th and 45th most expensive, and one of the other things that's going to start presenting a problem in Connecticut and other states, I know New York State's already feeling this, is data centers to the AI. But I'm seeing, there's anecdotes that like one query to Chat GPT is, enough electricity to power 100 cell phones for 3 days. And the data centers go above and way beyond that, and creating the amount of energy that they use, is going to have a huge impact on Connecticut ratepayers in terms of what they have to fund because we have a constraint. And I think it will impact Farmington as a result. So, I'd be curious after I look at that climate Superfund bill to see if there's a way to, those heavy users of electricity, they get a big benefit, but then we suffer. So, or at least our pocketbooks suffer. So, I think that's all I have right now, but thank you. Yeah, Mike.
I just want to respond to a couple things.
Yeah.
So we'll take the most recent one first. So I remember when the data centers were knocking on the door of the state of Connecticut a few years ago, and the temptation was, well, yeah, we have to do everything we can. We have to give them tax incentives, and we have to make it. We want these data centers in the state of Connecticut. And the environmentalists, to their credit, said at the time and have continued to say that this is a double-edged sword because they use up a tremendous amount of energy. They need to be reined in, and I believe that there is going to be legislation in the Energy Committee this year to look at some of the tax incentives and rebates that they have been given, and maybe withdraw some of those or make them less. I don't know the right terminology, but re-examine that, as well as making them demonstrate. Basically, if you're going to use up this tremendous amount of power, you have to figure out a way as a company to provide that power. In other words, don't take it away from Farmington, don't take it away from Waterbury, don't take it. You need to find a way to provide the power that you need to run your data center, so that it won't become a burden on the general public. So the Energy Committee is definitely going to look at that for that reason. So, and the other thing I should mention, and we've talked about this before, for both you and Keith, DEEP is more than happy to come and talk to you either privately or publicly
We're talking about
composting ideas and what the town can do. They other towns have taken advantage of this opportunity, and I think Farmington should too. We don't want to mandate it, Keith, but we do want to make it available to people if that's what they want to do. So have a conversation. I'm happy to facilitate the conversation if you want.
Thanks. I appreciate that. The committee met last 2 weeks ago, and there's a lot of ideas roaming around about what we want to do. And one of the things we talked about was having people come present to the committee so that way we can better formulate what makes sense for Farmington. So I'll reach out if that's where we're going to go. I appreciate that.
As far as the trail goes, I did just want to let you know that I am a huge fan. I've been anxiously awaiting. My boys are 12 and 15. It seems like they're most of their childhood. We've been waiting for the trail. I bring my 15-year-old to the Farmington entrance so that he can drive on the trail with his friends. But I did want to just bring up exactly what the concerns are, because I am somebody that's been paying pretty close attention, and I was surprised with the amount of eminent domain that was being discussed, for the amount of households that it could potentially impact. So I do see the constituents' concerns, but we are working really hard to just get to a place where the trail can be here and ready to go. I know that it is starting on the Southington side. In just a few weeks, they'll be starting off from the Southington to Norton Park phase.
Thank you. Appreciate the update. And I know there's lots of different issues across the board. It's just weighing all the benefits and costs and who gets, who is affected. So,
It's my corner, where my office is. Go right by my corner.
Dave, you got anything?
Yeah, and I'm going to be quick because obviously we have a lot to do tonight. But I'm going to be kind of efficient here. But the big thing I think you've offered to be able to be our voice in Hartford, and I think that's a valuable thing, not only in the deliberations at the General Assembly, but obviously the interface with the administration. And some of the priorities that I want to identify here is, one, we have Batterson Park going on right now. It's something that obviously has been going on for a while. Obviously, the weather has probably impacted them as far as that progress. But I want to make sure that there's a seamless kind of connection here as that project finishes, that the town of Farmington and obviously New Britain, being an adjacent, party to this, that there's a lot of communication as that gets going and how that's all going to flow. And I mean, sometimes that might fall down a little bit because the push is in the construction side and getting it done. But I really think that we all know that it's in a very interesting location in Farmington. There's some residential, neighborhoods right there. There's some thoroughfares right there. We want to make sure that as best as it can be, opened and introduced into the fabric of Farmington, that we have good communication. So hopefully we stay on that. Number two, obviously the administration has made a big point of bus shelters, right? They make always a big splash we have $8 million we're going to spend on bus shelters. And we obviously know that the connectivity of mass transit's important. But obviously, again, in Farmington, it's very unique. We have Farmington Avenue. We have people you can go to Farmington Avenue today and you can see people standing on snow piles at corners that have like a little blue sign that is the bus stop. That is unfortunately the situation that we find ourselves in right now, and that needs to change. And if the state has earmarked money, then obviously what I would hope is that we are on a priority list in some of these areas to make sure that there's results, that people have dignity, people have safety to be able to get on and get off the bus and be able to go to their work, whether it's Homewood Suites or wherever they might work. That needs to get done. And I want to make sure that Farmington is front and center as that money is being kind of parceled out. You know what I mean? So that's the other item. I think the other thing, connectivity, I think is very important. We have a sidewalk committee. We're certainly going to need to talk to you about however we can take the technical side of that and turn that into grant money and so forth to help the connectivity we can. Obviously, I tip my hat to trying to get this last piece of the trail. It's a key piece. I know you're navigating a lot, but I think, we're fully behind the fact that we have connectivity. The last couple things are just things that I would hope. We had a tragedy with this young girl in the fall of this year that impacted Farmington law enforcement and impacted a lot of people in Farmington, as well as New Britain. The system let Mimi Torres down. It let her down. And all I can say is, this is kind of goes way beyond like what Farmington needs. But I think because it happened right here, I think we should be laser focused, however we need to study that and correct that hopefully that never happens again. All right. And then our first responders who had that, we want to make sure that if they have some, issues with whatever comes with performing the professional duties around such an incident, that they're supported in their fullest. And then the last thing I would say is, you know, I think again, and I'll wrap it up. I mean, that's the more serious side, but I would agree with what Keith said. I mean, traffic enforcement technology has obviously come a long way, and it's and I think it's one of these things that we should be, you know, really look at it and study from many points before just looking at that it's a revenue generator, so forth and so on. Thank you.
Thanks. Bruce.
Oh, the last thing is obviously, Mike, you were part of this, but the ad hoc fire station is still going on, but we're going to have a committee charge soon. And obviously we're going to be looking for the kind of support from the state grant money, so forth and so on, to be part of that financial package for that to be implemented.
Just want to give you something on the bus shelters. I do know that there's a grant that goes out, and the way that they make the priority list for that grant is they run the numbers on how many what's the ridership. But we can definitely get you the information on when the grant window will be opening again through DOT.
That'd be great. Thank you. Thank you. That's all I had.
I'll be quick as well. I really want to hold on to one question. Like my fellow counselors, I'm interested in AI and technology in general because I don't think there's anything that's going to impact our society more as time goes on. But it's an enormous topic, and you can't boil the ocean. So I'm curious if you can shed any more light on the scope of what you will be looking at, either in terms of social media. You gave an example of an e-commerce example. Where are you guys going to focus on in terms of these things?
Sure. So I will actually be able to give you a much better update by the end of next week. Many committees are raising it. I do know that we're looking at healthcare concerns. I do know general law is having probably the largest bill submitted that is touching on a lot of different areas, affordability. We're seeing things even through AI and through social media, even with the algorithms. For instance, a 12-year-old girl might be looking at fashion online, and then all of a sudden she's getting served up ads for diet pills. So there's going to be regulations towards the algorithms, towards minors, and instead of having be an automatic opt-in, you'd have to opt out. So there are so many sections of it. I am, I can't wait to dive into it a little bit more. What I've seen so far that's been released in agendas I've been able to look at has been more on the affordability. But I do know we're going to be looking at things as far as education and healthcare. It's kind of in almost every committee at this point.
Okay, thank you. All right, all set.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I just wanted to ask one thing I wanted to say was, Rebecca, Mike, thanks for being here and taking the time to share not just what the state is doing, but what you guys are doing for the state and for Farmington. I really appreciate that. We've touched on a lot of things here, and we have a lot of experience here, willing to ask questions that are important to the town of Farmington. The one thing I would like to ask about that you mentioned early on is grants, because I want to thank you for all the grant funding that you do support. And we do receive grants here. I want to and thank Kathy and her team for writing those grants. But I'm very curious to know how you can help us access additional monies that maybe we haven't applied for. What are the things that we haven't that we should be looking at so that we have a better idea of what's possible, and then we'd have to figure out how to address that. But that would really be helpful to understand what it is we're not looking at that we should be.
Off the cuff, one of the big issues this year is definitely going to be childcare. That money was allocated last year. There's going to be more money to create more state-funded slots, spaces, as well as some childcare centers. So I would watch for childcare needs. And obviously with the housing bill, there is going to be more extensive grant money towards housing, affordable housing as well.
Okay. Thank you. All right. I know we'll be talking further because there are a lot of things that can be done, and I'm going to ask you what's possible, because that's kind of what we do here, is take care of funding. So thank you. Is there anything else that hasn't been asked? If not, I want to thank you very much for your time and all of your efforts. Thank you for all you're doing. Good luck over the next couple of months.
Great, Steve. Have a great night.
Stay in touch. Stay in touch. Stay in touch.
Count on it.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to C2 presentations from
No, I just
our audit ending June 30th, 2025. Thank you for coming and welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to see you again.
My name is Catherine Patnod. I'm the partner in charge of your audit from PKF O'Connor Davies. So I'm just going to run through a quick presentation of the 2025 financial statements, and I'm happy to answer any questions. So the reports that you received are the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, or the ACFR, as well as the federal and state single audits. So new for 2025 was the implementation of GASB 101 on compensated absences. This increased the compensated absences liability by $2.2 million. This was pretty much a standard increase in all my towns. I've seen an increase in the liability, mainly due to before you only had to record a liability for any sick or vacation payout. Now with this new standard, you have to factor in future usage of that sick and vacation time. So it did increase the liability on everyone. On your financial statements, we did have an unmodified or clean opinion, so what you're always looking for. As always, management's discussion and analysis is a good executive summary of fiscal year operations. It talks a lot about your government-wide financial statements, which include your capital assets, which had a net increase of $24 million. Most of this was the 1928 building, $6.4 million added to construction in progress, as well as the new Farmington High School had $25 million of additions in fiscal 25, as well as the full $134 million being fully capitalized this year. Disposals was $7.6 million. 7.1 of this was the loss on disposal of the old high school asset, since that was still on the books and not fully depreciated. So if you look at Exhibit B, you'll see that as a special item just because it was a large amount. Looking at your long-term debt, you had a net decrease of $6.2 million. This was mainly due to principal payments of $9 million, offset by debt issuance of $3 million. Now, I know you had a general obligation bond issued of $31 million. It's just that $28 million of that was reported as permanent financing in 2024. So that's why it only looks like $3 in 25. Taking a look at your governmental funds, the general fund on a GAAP basis had total fund balance of $30.2 million. Of that, unassigned fund balance was $27.4 million, which is 21.6% of your 2025 expenditures and transfers out. Fund balance also included assigned of $1.6 million, which was $800,000 for the fiscal 26 budget, and the rest was for education encumbrances. You also had $309,000 committed for the new education non-lapsing fund. Overall, your general fund had an increase in fund balance of $2.6 million, which we'll talk about in a little bit under the budgetary basis. The capital projects fund had a fund balance of $9.6 million at the end of the year, which was a slight decrease of $128,000. This just tends to fluctuate from year to year, just depending on the timing of capital expenditures and the funding of the projects. The new Farmington High School fund had a deficit fund balance of $12.5 million, caused by the decrease in fund balance of $15 million, mainly due to your capital outlay of $27 million, when you had grants this year of only $12.5 million. Looking at the proprietary funds, the Westwoods Fund had an increase in net position of $177,000 for a total net position of $1.5 million. The operations were pretty similar to last year's operations. The Internal Service Fund had a slight increase of $58,000 for a total net position of $6.7 million. If you look in your footnotes, those give you some good information, details of what's in the financial statements, but there's no significant changes in there from last year. Taking a look at the general fund on the budgetary basis in RSI, the revenues and other financing sources were above budget by a net of $1.5 million. This includes property taxes above budget by $586,000 due to conservative budgeting, as well as income from investments above budget by almost 1.9 million due to conservative budgeting, as well as an increase in the amount invested and the continued high interest rates. This was partially offset by the planned appropriation of fund balance of 1.2 million. Your expenditures and other financing uses were under budget by 218,000, primarily due to debt service being under budget by 182,000. And I'll just note that the Board of Education line had that 309,000 that came from unbudgeted additional excess cost grant funds that was transferred out of the education budget and into the new education non-lapsing fund. So that's the 300,000 of committed fund balance I mentioned earlier. So also in your RSI, the required supplementary information is information on the pension and OPEB plans. For the pension plan, you can also look at exhibits I and J in the financial statements, where you'll see that your pension net position increased by 5.9 million. Taking a look at the pension plan, that had a net pension liability of 55.3 million. This plan is about 65% funded, an almost 2% increase from the prior year, mainly due to net investment income of 9.4 million. The OPEB plan, or other post-employment benefits, the plan is not currently actively funded, it's pay-as-you-go. That one has a liability of 38.6 million, which was a decrease from the prior year of 4.4 million, mainly due to change in assumptions, which was just the increase in the discount rate from 3.93% to 5.2%, since that's based on the municipal bond rate, and that increased quite a bit. Taking a look at the federal and state single audits, on both of those, we had no findings or question costs. For federal programs, we tested the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds. And for the state, we tested the Small Town Economic Assistance Program, or STEEP, the Urban Action Bonds Program, and the tiered payment in lieu of taxes, or pilot. We also provide our communication with those charged with the governance, which discusses our responsibility, which is to form and express an opinion about whether the financials are presented fairly in all material respects. It discusses that we're independent. It also mentions that we had no uncorrected misstatements and no material adjustments. I also wanted to point out some new applicable GASB standards coming up in the next few years. The first one is financial reporting model improvements, which is applicable for fiscal 26. This has a couple things that it does in the MD&A, the management's discussion and analysis. It clarifies and updates the guidance for the preparation of it just to improve the quality of the analysis of the changes from year to year. So it's really going to improve the MD&A and make sure it's showing you why things changed. Proprietary funds, pretty minor change. It just defines non-operating revenues and expenses, so that might change classifications in your Westwoods fund slightly, but I'm not expecting to see anything significant. And then the budgetary comparison information, currently those comparisons are presented in the MD&A. Next year, they'll be required to be presented in the notes to RSI, so you'll see it with the actual budgetary statements. GASB 104 on disclosure of certain capital assets will also be applicable in fiscal 26. This one's pretty minor. It's just showing that right to use lease and subscription assets will have to be presented separately by major asset class. So if you have a leased equipment and leased building, they'll just have to be shown on two separate lines. And then the last one that was issued was GASB 105 on subsequent events, which will be effective for fiscal 27. This one just clarifies the definition of subsequent events, what should be recognized and non-recognized, and establishes specific note disclosures if you have subsequent events. And then the final item I wanted to go over was the recommendations from the audit for town and education purchasing and accounts payable. We have a recommendation about segregation of duties, mainly just separating who is entering vendors into the financial software from who is paying the invoices. For student activities, we also recommend segregation of duties in who is recording the deposits and preparing the deposits and recording them in the general ledger. And then with the scholarship funds, just getting them all in the general ledger. So that's all I have, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Bruce, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask?
I do. With respect to the segregation of duties findings, I see that they're starred and they are repeat, so that this appeared not only on this audit but on the previous audit. So I'm curious as to why we haven't addressed that. And then the second part of my question is probably more towards your scope: is do you also audit the creation of user IDs for the financial software, as in who can create them and what capabilities does that person have? So in other words, the AP person can't set up vendors but can do payments, things like that. Do you look at that as part of your audit?
So that is something we sometimes look at, and sometimes, and I don't remember in this instance, but sometimes I've seen that, okay, yeah, this person doesn't enter them, but they have the ability. So that is the way I tried to write the recommendation, that whether or not they do enter the new vendors, they should not be able to. I don't remember off the top of my head if that was the issue or if the person was specifically entering the new vendors. But yeah, I know there have been more recommendations in the past, so they have been coming off. I think sometimes in a lot of towns I see it's just hard trying to separate the duties so you're not overburdening somebody.
Understood. Okay, thank you.
Dave, any questions?
No, I'm good.
No, thank you.
No?
I had a quick question. I don't know if you can even answer, but I know you guys do a number of these audits for other towns. How does our unfunded pension liability stack up with other towns, in your opinion?
I'd say it's probably on the lower end. Just trying to think about them, I'd say a lot of them are probably closer to like the 80%. But I'd say speak to your actuaries. I mean, I'm pretty sure you're funding your actuarially determined contribution. So I would think if you're doing that, then you're kind of getting to where you need to be.
Sure.
But they could definitely give you a better picture on where that stands and where it should be.
That's it.
All right. No questions but from me, but thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thanks very much. Let's move on to C3, the introduction of the town department heads. Thank you all for coming here to speak with us tonight.
So the first person up is Russ Arnold, our Director of Public Works. And again, for the time, as I wrote in the agenda, each person's just going to give a 5-minute introduction with maybe like 5 minutes for questions.
Welcome, Russ.
Good evening. Is this where I sing?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. Good.
Good evening. I'm Russ Arnold. I am the Director of Public Works and Town Engineer for the town. Public Works is made up of planning and zoning, fire marshal, building official, engineering, highway and grounds, wastewater treatment plant, and the golf course maintenance. There's not much that goes on in town that doesn't come through our office. We handle all the, the majority of the design work, permitting, inspections, plan reviews, maintenance, road maintenance, highways, sidewalk maintenance, storm drainage, sewer, pump stations, treatment plant. We have a small staff, but we get a lot done. We take pride in everything we do. We have a little turnover here and there, but it's more through attrition. We do go through a good recruiting process when we're interviewing people. We ask some pretty stiff questions to make sure that they're going to be the right fit for us, and that they'll be here for long term. We don't like to hire temporary type employees. We want long-term people who will be successful for us and for themselves. And that Kat does a wonderful job and helps out. Don't know what else to say. I'm here before you a lot, and I'm always available if you have questions, comments, concerns. We're here. We've replaced a lot of mailboxes with this last storm. We repair them. We don't replace, we repair and stuff. Our maintenance guys, they actually made jigs up to mimic mailboxes so that we put back what it looks similar to what they've had. Not a lot of plows hit the mailboxes. Our policy and the majority of the policies across the state, if the plow doesn't touch the mailbox, we're not responsible. But in lieu of them calling you and having you tell me to fix it and tell Kathy to tell me to fix it, we pretty much fixed the majority of them. But I'm here for questions or anything if you have.
In the interest of time, rather than going through every single person, does anyone have a question? Patty?
Thanks, Russ. I did see you guys clearing more of the snow, and I made better access to my mailbox last week, so I appreciate that.
We didn't hit yours, did we?
No, you didn't.
Okay, good.
No. What do you see as your significant challenges in the short term? Like,
Is Kathy looking at me?
Oh,
Okay. Really, it's having more bodies, having more people. We're down. We are at our budgeted amount of employees, which is down a few bodies in our highway department. From 2021, I think, is when we had a reduction, 2020, somewhere in there. And I'm not complaining, but it's tough when you get a lot of demand, a high demand, which Farmington is, to meet those demands in a timely manner. And the expectation today is that, and I use the snow since we're in the winter, but if the snow stops snowing at 2, people expect the road to be black at 3. And I can drive 60 miles an hour and I should be fine. But the demand and expectation is that I want somebody there. Like, I should have players on the bench waiting to come in and answer every demand that comes in. But we get to them and we take care of it in a timely manner. We don't get a lot of repeat calls, meaning that somebody called and their issue wasn't addressed, but we could do it in a little bit faster time if we had a couple more bodies.
thank you.
is there any? Bruce?
I'm curious as to how your work breaks down, because there's more to do than you have people to do it. That is 100% clear. But how much stuff is break fix stuff that comes in, asynchronously to your world? How much is maintenance? How much is project stuff? And how do you try and balance competing needs?
There's 24 hours in a day, Bruce, and we work a lot of them. No, a lot of it, like you'll see as we go through the capital budget, a lot of our equipment is old, and we spend a lot of money in our maintenance account for vehicles, our automobile account, and it's tough to keep a 20-year-old snowplow running, which it's one of our frontline vehicles. We had 2 go down in the last storm, and fortunately we just hired our second mechanic about 2 weeks ago. He started on Sunday during the storm. His first day was here for the snowstorm. But a percentage-wise, it's tough to put a number to it as far as maintenance of a vehicle and things like that. Project-based, we run our day. We juggle a lot of different projects every day. There's some days I could be 3 or 4 hours on a project. There's some days I could be 8, and we manage everything else. I don't know. It's tough. I never really thought of it like that, but I will think about it and get back to you on some more percentages.
Okay, it's just curious.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things, like something breaks down, and if it's a larger item, we talk to the big guy in the back and make sure we're okay to spend the money and get it fixed. It's hard. It's hard to sit here and tell you, well, it's 20% of our time is on maintenance and fixing vehicles and equipment, because it varies. We do a lot of preparatory and work on our equipment to get us ready for like leaf machines. We're working on those. We winterize them after the season, and then come June we start going through. We have 5 leaf machines, and we take one once every couple weeks. We go through it and update it and get it ready for the season, because those run for a month, 6 days a week straight. So it's a plan that we have. a lot of it isn't written down anymore because we've just done it for so long. So it's just, you're in that mode, and we know when it is, and everyone knows what we're doing within our team. Yeah. Oh, was that clear as mud?
But I understand. I mean, there's clearly a backlog, and it's
Yeah, we prioritize
it's a
everything
challenge, and
too,
you have to
right?
prioritize that.
Yeah. So, like right now, we got to keep our 14 trucks, 15 trucks running. So that's our priority right now during the season. They're working on other equipment that had already broke down. Our leaf machine, our lawn mowers and blower, summer equipment is being worked on right now when something else isn't broken down. So we really have it's a good handle on, and we have a pretty good system on how it works. So.
I just had two quick questions. One was, so you hired the mechanic, which was, advantageous, obviously, especially the timing of his birthday. But so what else is in the queue? Anything else in the queue, or is
For
that
positions?
Yes.
We are looking at for a civil engineer. We're going through our budget now for a civil engineer, assistant town engineer, assistant building official, a construction inspector. We have an opening, maintainer 3, a heavy equipment operator. So those are the open ones that we have right now for our current level.
Okay. And obviously, is that prioritized? Are you trying to get the civil engineer first and then kind of work your way down to the assistant town? I mean, is there a strategy here, or is it somewhat like you spin a dial or something?
No, we don't. We're not throwing darts at the board.
Okay.
But no, we talk about it as budgetary too, right?
Yeah.
We've hired Mason Coudray, our project manager.
Yeah.
Who's worked out excellent. So our surveyor retired 2 years ago, and we advertised 3 times for that, and could not find anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So we got them working with us part-time. But yeah, they're like,
Russ, most of the positions that are vacant right now have been vacant because we can't fill them.
Right. No, I get it. Yeah. Well, I understand. Right.
but so I'm going to look you in the eye and tell you, do I have a priority? All 4
Right.
priority.
Right.
It's just a matter of still going through process of, like I say, going through the mechanic.
Right.
Interviewed yesterday for construction inspector. We're going to advertise again for the assistant building official, and then for the assistant town engineer, civil engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Just got to figure out what dollar amount we have available.
Got it.
So yeah, it's a high priority.
Mm-hmm. And then on the Tungus Mead grant that was so successful by our parks.
I give all the credit to Jeff.
Yes.
Yep.
But in that, are you self-performing any work in that grant, or are we?
Assist.
Yeah.
I will assist up, but the majority of it is all going to be contracted out.
Okay.
Because it's more specialty work.
Okay.
Like the basketball courts, those are for, post-tension concrete.
Right.
So we're working on bids for that. Jess she's handling that and doing a great job. We work collaboratively.
Good.
And go through it all, but the majority of it will be contracted out.
Okay. And then I just want to land the third bridge. You got you're back at it. You know what I mean? And you're close, you believe, in the next submission.
I hope. I'm waiting on our letters of support from our congresspeople, and the DOT. I just spoke with the DOT rep today for that letter of support. That application is due February 24th.
Mm-hmm.
We've requested those letters back beginning of January. So we're hopeful that they come relatively soon. All my information, I think I told everyone I had a debrief with the federal DOT on our last application. We scored very well in 5 out of the 8 sections. Basically, I got A's on 5 and C's on 3.
Mm-hmm.
So she explained to me where I needed to, and what additional information they would be looking for. So I've made those changes already, and I'm just kind of waiting for the letter of support to package the whole application and send it in.
Yeah, and anything we can do, if we need to get on the horn to help you get letters of support, I think, make sure we know.
Yeah.
Because obviously we'll try to do everything within our our power to make sure that you get
I
those letters.
I absolutely will. But
Okay.
I don't like calling in the big.
No, I understand,
but I appreciate.
but there's a lot going on everywhere. You know, there's a lot going on. You know what I mean?
You haven't failed us yet, but yes, absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
So that's all I had. Thanks.
Do we have any
Thanks, Russ.
questions? All right, Russ, thanks so much.
Okay.
Thank you, Russ.
Thanks, Russ. And next we have Jesse, our Director of Recreation.
Welcome, Jesse. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. All right. So good evening. For those of you who may not know me, I'm Jessie Catano, and I serve as the town's recreation director. I recently completed my first year with the town, but I bring over 18 years of municipal recreation experience, previously serving as the director of Parks and Recreation and Senior in North Branford, as well as the rec supervisor in the city of Bristol. This past year, I've focused on learning the community, strengthening our operations, and guiding the transition of the recreation from a division of community services into a standalone department. I'm supported by a small but strong full-time team of 2 individuals, Jeffrey Porter, who has been with the department for 23 years, providing invaluable institutional knowledge, and Kevin Riandu, who joined our team in September and was raised in Farmington and previously worked in continuing education, bringing both community perspective and operational experience. Their knowledge and support has been essential in making the transition successful. Our department is dedicated to enhancing the quality of life by providing safe, inclusive, and engaging recreational opportunities for residents of all ages. As a sports-focused department, we emphasize youth and adult athletics, active living, and skill development while fostering teamwork, sportsmanship, and community connection through well-managed programs, facilities, and the operation of the Westwoods Golf Course, the town's 18-hole executive course. With nearly 25% of the Farmington residents holding an active recreation account, we are often one of the first departments to interact with residents. The department oversees youth, adult, and sports programs, clinics, camps, leagues, and manages the scheduling of town athletic fields and operates Westwoods Golf Course, which supports over 42,000 rounds of golf annually. We currently oversee approximately 67 part-time staff and 23 seasonal golf staff who are critical to the success of our operations. The department delivers a diverse portfolio of athletic offerings, balancing high participation traditional sports with the growing interest of alternative offerings. Basketball and soccer remain our largest programs, with soccer alone having over 16,660 registrations. At the same time, participation continues to grow in those less traditional sports such as fencing, badminton, and rowing, which collectively have over 350 youth registrations, reflecting both evolving community interests and the department's commitment to program variety. Like many municipal recreation departments, we continue to navigate several challenges. One of the primary challenges is maintaining program affordability while managing the rising operational costs and increases in minimum wages, supplies, and service expenses. We also balance the growing demand for limited resources. Youth sports participation continues to rise, placing pressure on field availability, gym space, staff, and scheduling, while expectations for program quality, safety, and communication continue to increase. Facility wear and capacity is also another challenge. Our fields, courts, and amenities experience heavy use, and maintaining them at a high standard requires long-term planning and coordination with other departments, an area that has become a major focus over the past year. Finally, while staffing and volunteer recruitment continues to present challenges, the department is actively evaluating new approaches to support program growth, scheduling demands, and long-term service delivery. Despite these challenges, our department has many strengths. First and foremost, our staff and volunteers. Each year, we have over 100 dedicated volunteers that support our programs such as basketball, soccer, and Ski Club, which is a new program for us this year that Kevin introduced and serves over 160 participants across 5 schools in its first year with us. Another key strength is our community engagement. Farmington has supportive parents, schools, and league organizers and partner organizations that work closely with us to maintain our exceptional programs. Some of our highlights and accomplishments over the past year, we've made meaningful progress in addressing some of the challenges listed above, including working with the Board of Education and continuing education staff to ensure that our program offerings reflect our department mission and are not a duplication of services. With that realignment came the addition of the ski club. Additional facility improvements have occurred down at Tungus Mead with significant support from Public Works, including renovations to our concession stand and restroom upgrades at Tungus Mead and enhancements to the field conditions. We also made significant upgrades to Westwood's golf course, driven by the leadership of Stephen Shelley, our new golf professional, who arrived accelerating the improvements in operations and overall golfer experience. The clubhouse was refreshed with new paint, furnishings. A former deck was replaced to an ADA accessible patio, all funded through ARPA funds. And our new website was launched, allowing for weekend online tea time bookings and enhanced social media presence were launched to strengthen our communication and visibility within the community. Additional upgrades included new tee box signs throughout the course and the driving range. We replaced mats, range balls, and improved the turf condition. And the golf course maintenance team repaired the walking bridge on hole 1. So we've made a lot of improvements. The course also completed a successful first year with Carol's Lunchbox, an on-site food vendor, and contributed to increased customer satisfaction and more complete golf course experience. We work closely with Public Works to support the soft opening of the pickleball courts last fall and are looking forward to a full opening of the pickleball courts and splash pad facility at the Westwoods Recreation Complex this spring. Another major milestone that you guys seem already well aware of is the STEEP grant for $1 million for Tungus Mead, which would not have been possible without the support of Public Works and many other departments. So I appreciate Russ's credit, but it's not due. Including in that STEEP grant, we're looking to upgrade the LED lights, the press box, dugout renovations, an ADA accessible walkway for the soccer fields, resurfacing the basketball court to post tension and fencing. And we've been working diligently with the staff and other departments and the state to ensure these projects get off the ground this year. In conclusion, the Farmington Recreation Department plays a vital role in building communities, supporting healthy lifestyles, and creating opportunities for all ages. With continued support, we can expand programming, improve facilities, and ensure Farmington remains a vibrant and connected place to live and work. So now I'm ready for any questions, I guess.
Thank you. Before we get to quick questions, I just want to say thank you for all you've done to get us on track with our celebrate the 250 years of America. So just want to thank you for getting that underway, and I look forward to working with you on that. So to keep things moving, do we have any questions for Jesse?
I got a couple. Jesse, first of all, great job. I mean, you can definitely tell, how hard you're working and where things are going. And I can tell you, I've enjoyed many hot dogs at Carol Lunchbox.
Pleased to hear that.
What's the is there a timeline or is there a contemplation? I mean, you did a lot of cosmetic renovations at the golf course, but obviously the big need is the actual playing conditions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Drainage issues, things of that nature. Is there? I'm not saying it has to be done. What's going on? In terms of the thought process of a 5-year timeline or a 10-year timeline of what the thoughts might be on how to improve that.
We've sat down with the maintenance team and Public Works and started to draft a 5 to 10 year capital plan, and some of those are outlined in the capital improvement plan that you'll see coming forward.
Oh, great. Okay, so you have some stuff for capital this year. Okay, terrific. Okay, and then this was something I didn't hear you mention much about, but I know that there's a significant number of people in our community that play cricket.
Mm-hmm.
And has there been any kind of push or discussion about creating space for the folks that play cricket to have their own facility-ish type of thing, or field, whatever you want to call it?
Not in my time here. I have heard there was previous interest, but over the last year, nobody has come forward to bring that up as an issue.
Okay.
As you guys know, and I mentioned in my presentation, field space is limited, and the space needed for a cricket field is massive.
Yeah, it's massive.
And unfortunately, there's not many properties that in Farmington that meet that need. It would definitely be something we can continue to evaluate if more residents came forward and there was more of an interest.
Okay. All right. I think that. Oh, the last one was baseball at the Mead this summer. What's the status of that?
I think we're in good shape for it. I still don't know. It's going to depend a little bit on what the timing of the projects are, but we're going to try to hold off some of the construction until after that early July. Yeah, exactly. Correct.
Thanks.
Yeah. My pleasure.
Have any other questions before we move on?
Just quickly, I would just a couple things. One, you're an impactful employee, Jesse. I mean, you come a year ago, you've like really locked in, and it just shows. You know what I mean? And you do a great job, and you're sharing, the victories with all the other departments. That is just kudos to you and your team. Tunxus Mead is the Grand Central Station of Farmington. You know what I mean? I mean, it's where everything happens. You know what I mean? It's like, people are coming to it, people are leaving it. There's activities, people are crossing traffic ways, and now we're doing $1 million of improvements, which thanks to the grant. So obviously a big planning aspects, and we obviously have a contract award later on in our business. But is there been, I'm sure there has been, but there's been some kind of really deep dive in how the pieces are going to kind of coexist during this time?
Yeah. So when we applied for this grant, it was based off a 2020 Tunxus Mead improvement plan that the previous team had done a really nice job, which prepared us for this grant. I do think we need to continue evaluating that and looking at our long range plans on all of our fields, which is something that the Public Works team and I and my team have really started to get down in the nitty gritty with, and we look forward to putting together more detailed plans moving forward so that we can continue to keep up this progress.
And because obviously the contractors that are being brought in, like Yield Industries, they understand how this is a nerve center, right? About it, and they're going to be programmed to be able to function. Their functionality is going to be tested if to coexist.
Yeah, Yield has already successfully helped us with some of the construction projects already down, and they're very aware of, making sure that the facilities are still accessible. Some of them will have to come offline for certain periods of time, but we'll be conscientious about our impact on youth sports and everything else. We're very in tune with not interrupting things.
Great, thank you.
Awesome. Any other quick questions, or are we good? We're good. All right. Thank you very much, Jesse.
Thank you, Jesse.
Good evening.
Excuse myself.
We have Nancy Parent here, and she's our Director of Community and Support Services.
Welcome, Nancy. Thanks for coming.
And Nancy, just a reminder to speak into the microphone.
Oh, sure. I think I do know everybody here, but my name is Nancy Parent. I actually researched to see how long I've worked for the town. It's October 31st of 1993, so it's been 33 years. Part-time beginning and then full-time for about 28 years. Mm-hmm. So just a general overview.
Pop this on. It's trying to stop the popping.
Oh, sorry. So just some general information about our department. It's community and supportive services, and our community services are our education, networking, advocacy, when we're really just getting out, providing information, education, and when needed support for residents. And then our supportive services, which are our individual one-on-one case management, home visits, counseling, that sort of thing. Who we serve so many different facets of the community. We serve people who may have difficulties financially, families that are caregivers that have children or elderly that they're caring for, people with some mental illness, or families with a member with addiction, or elderly who are active and want to remain active, elderly who are homebound, teens who might find themselves having some difficulty or addiction, teens who might need to find some other focuses of things to work on. So we really do hit all facets of our community in one way or another. We include a wide variety of services, and I know, to keep it brief, I had just done an outline just outlining the services that we do provide, but we provide social, youth, and senior services, which could be something as simple as filling out paperwork for an entitlement, to doing a program, to in-depth case management and helping provide counseling or crisis support. At the senior center, we're actually considered by the state a focal point, and we provide education, socialization, recreation, as well as supportive services, assistance with paperwork, helping decide what health insurance is most appropriate. So, we provide all of that. Housing and transportation, we have housing services. We manage several different housing programs, and then we manage and serve as the landlord to Maple Village, our senior and disabled housing. Transportation, we run a very active dial-a-ride that serves almost 260 people. Community building and advocacy, we take pride in providing education, whether it be parenting education, addiction, mental health education, as well as advocacy. We serve as a board to hear grievances for ADA issues or something if somebody has a diversity issue that they want to talk about. Emergency support is just that. We support any emergency endeavors in storm and power outages. Those of you who remember, 12, 13 years ago, we spent about a week and a half of our life up at the high school when we were without power. So we are the shelter managers. A few years ago, we had an apartment building that had to evacuate because of some flooding. So we got them the transportation and got them into the places that they need to be. And then we also have an at-risk list, which is anybody who might be vulnerable in our community. If they're a senior or somebody that's disabled, we were set to go with the last snowstorm. Thankfully, power outages weren't an issue with it, but we were set to go if need be to be able to activate our plan and check on folks. So again, on the front page of that, I've just listed all the services in each of the categories so that you were aware. So our key challenges, one is just increased need in every single area that we're providing service. There's just more need. There's more need for housing. We've serviced more homeless people than we have in the past. Youth anxiety is at an all-time high. People living longer in their homes and needing care, getting people on health care. If you remember back in December with the issue with food stamps, people that were panicked that they weren't going to have food or have food insecurity. The needs have grown drastically since I've been here. And our needs are more complex. When I first started, we might have had a few folks that we'd have to go provide homebound services, counseling, mental health, insurance, and we had maybe 4 or 5 clients in that area. Right now, we carry a caseload of about 20 to 25 that I would consider are extra grace required and extra intensive care that we provide care for. Service mandates, there's things that we have to provide, a fair rent body, relocation services, opioid funds. There's some things that are mandated that we have to provide. And another challenge, and I'm not exactly sure how to word it, is kind of our feeder services. I see a lot of our programs, some of the socialization, recreation, some of the concerts, things where we're providing information as being an opportunity for us to build a relationship with people. And once we have that relationship, if a crisis hits, they feel comfortable to come talk to us. And sometimes when things get busy, those feeder services go down and the needs go up. So just building those relationships. And then highlights, one, I'd be willing to debate with almost anybody here, maybe not the town manager's office. I think I have the best staff in town. They are a wonderful group. They're caring, they're committed. They really do take great pride in making sure that whatever they develop for a program, a service, or a client they're caring for, they care. And it shows in their work. Collaborations. I know a good deal of what we do in our department wouldn't be possible without the numerous collaborations. On the back side of that paper, I've listed some of the funding resources that we get for funds that are given to us to provide a certain program, as well as we actually have several funds that actually pay for services directly, like we manage the direct aid fund through Community Chest. They give money directly to the clients for fuel assistance, for the food pantry, directly benefits our clients. Then the last list is for contracts and agreements that we have. I know a few folks from Hope Partners are here. We contract with them to provide the Meals on Wheels. They provide the loan closet. So all of our services would not be possible without those partnerships to enhance the critical services that we provide. And just a few things that I'm extra proud of this past few years, I would say. A few years ago, we started doing pickleball for not just the senior center, but for recreation as well at New Horizons, which having the space to do the pickleball was very, very important. But there was two benefits from that wasn't. It was considered, but I think it just has been wonderful. One is we employed residents of New Horizons to work at that pickleball, so they have interacted with our seniors. And then the other is they feel connected to the community. One of our employees could go down to Stop and Shop and see one of the residents from the senior center who's been at New Horizons and feel connected to the community. They feel as if they're part of the community. We have people that are constantly wanting to do things to help our clients. Just this past December, Farmington Station and Companions and Homemakers did a huge coat drive that we were actually able to distribute during our holiday giving program. And we also connected again with New Horizons for some of the immigrants that were living there to be able to receive coats, especially for those that may have come from a warmer community that coats weren't needed. Riverbend, just recently we had a intergenerational dinner dance with seniors and high school students, and Riverbend did all the food for that dance, which was just a wonderful partnership. So we recognize that these things happen, that they just make our services, they bedazzle them and really just create an atmosphere that we're trying to achieve.
Nice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any questions for Nancy?
Nancy, how many people are on your staff?
2, 4, 5, and then we have one or two part-time people as well, and then dial-a-ride drivers. Yeah, I have a few per diem that may work just one day a week.
And you've driven the dial-a-ride before too, haven't you?
Me, I have, yes.
Housing Authority, I think I remember you saying that. So no, Nancy does everything. And you have a really good attitude on this, and really thank you very much for everything.
You're welcome.
I just had a quick question only about in an immediate crisis that might include law enforcement. Are you also connected to that response?
I have been on.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, domestics, or sometimes if somebody needs hospitalization and they're just recently, a few weeks ago, a gentleman had a major health issue and he was the main caregiver for his wife who had Alzheimer's disease, and they couldn't bring him to the hospital and have the wife stay. So we jumped in and got care and stayed with her until the appropriate family got there. So very often it's things like that.
Got it. Okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
Nancy, thank you for this.
You're welcome.
This is incredibly helpful and addressed questions. But I know from talking to you how much you do and your staff does, and that this shows how much work you guys are doing. Is there a need or a service that you think is warranted, but you just can't provide?
Well, I think right now, just some of the crisis between homelessness, and we've been involved with the state with some of looking at that, and just food insecurity. I think all of that is on the rise, and just being able to deal with that and be able to come. I'm thinking that even down the line, there might be some mandates with that on how we deal with some of that and what that's going to look like. Definitely the same as Russ. I mean, obviously, we all feel the pinch and we make adjustments when needed. And there are services that we'd love to be able to do that we sometimes can't.
Okay. On the housing question, I know that you met with a bunch of social workers at the legislature.
I did.
And it has to do with how housing is found for the unhoused, or how they what's the role that you play?
Right. So the state has a whole entire system set up for homelessness, and for anyone to get housing, they can definitely come to us for help. But the way it's set up is they have to go through 211 with the state of Connecticut. And when numbers and temperatures, like it's been the last couple of days, it just gets difficult for them to house everybody and even know where everybody is. And that's one of the discussions that we got together with a group at the Capitol just to talk about that. And we also may know our people in our town better, that there may be hidden people that might not go to a shelter, or something has happened that a young lady who's been to a shelter that just doesn't feel safe there anymore. We may know about them, and when the cold weather hits, they may never call 211 because they might not want that interaction or to have to be brought to a shelter.
Thank you.
All right. Any others? All right, Nancy, thanks so much
Thank
for
you.
everything you do. Appreciate you coming in.
You're very welcome. Have a good night.
Next is Brian Rush. He's our IT manager.
Hi, I'm Brian Rush. I'm the IT manager for the town. I've been here for about 20 years, last September. IT support we do IT support for all town departments, including the police department, fire departments, and library. We have over 250 users between the town PD and library. We support a bunch of different applications for every department. I figured that there was over 50 distinct applications throughout the town. We manage Office 365, email, and web hosting. We manage cybersecurity awareness training, endpoint protection, virus protection. We work with our MDR provider, which is managed detection and response. We handle all spam filtering and web filtering. Network configurations, we have approximately 20 physical and VPN connections between town buildings and other entities. We manage 11 firewalls, over 75 access points, a phone system with 350 phones. We manage security cameras and access control for most of the town buildings. And we have over 45 servers at Town Hall and 25 servers at the police department. And we do backup and data recovery for about 35 terabytes of data. Short.
Wow.
Trying to say.
It's not that much.
And we do that all with me, Todd. There's two of us doing all that.
Thank you.
On top of the day-to-day break fix kind of stuff.
Do we have any questions for Brian?
I've got a couple.
I just got one.
Go for it.
So, Brian, we talked in our strategic plan about tweaking the website.
Yep.
I'm sure you've heard talk of that. What are your thoughts on that? And
No, we did it probably about 4 or 5 years ago. We did a website refresh. It's probably about time to do at least a look and feel update to it. I think the organization of it's laid out pretty well right now compared to other towns. There's some options we've been presented with from the current provider that we have to do like an AI chatbot. The cost of it was pretty cost prohibitive, but it might be something we think about adding.
Interesting, because I know that in my just my own business, we use an AI chatbot. It's actually quite cost effective.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now they gave me I think. Do you remember, Kat? How much that was?
The chatbot.
Yeah, I think it was over 10,000 for the year.
Wow. Maybe we'll talk offline.
I mean,
we'll talk offline about that.
I don't know what you do.
Yeah,
for a living.
I'm going to tell you whatever.
Like indexing PDFs and stuff. There's like a lot.
So that's the chat. So it's not just a chatbot like as a customer service. Where do you want to go? It's going to be actually a chatbot.
Yeah, it would
provide service, actual service. I see what you're saying. So more like an AI agent than a host, so to speak.
Exactly.
Fair enough. Sorry, Bruce. Go ahead.
No worries. Our phone system, is it traditional landline?
No, so it's SIP. It's a SIP trunk coming into the building, and then it's VoIP internally.
Okay, because I just wanted to make sure it was that because it's more cost effective.
Yeah.
As we do that, I guess I spent too many years as a consultant not to ask this next question of a senior IT leader. What keeps you up at night? And don't say the amount of work Russ has.
I think the thing that keeps me up at night is cybersecurity. The threat landscape's always changing. I don't know if you heard that New Britain had ransomware like 2 weeks ago, and they were down for over a week, I think. That keeps me up at night. Not too much else.
It's good. Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else, or are we good? Good. Brian, thanks for all you do.
Thanks, Brian.
On live.
Thank you, Brian.
Appreciate it.
Next, we have Joe, our Director of Finance and Administration.
kind of surprised you want to hear from me because you hear from me all the time. Get bored.
Enough.
Joe Swetsky, Director of Finance, and thanks to you, Town Treasurer. Been with the town since June of 2004. I've actually, got a little brag for myself, I've actually been doing this since November of 1979. So I've been in municipal finance. So I've been doing this a long time, and I'm pretty old. Finance department has 3 divisions. We used to have 4, but Kathy took one away from us because I'm not really sure why. I guess we weren't doing a good job. That was Brian, which actually I'm kind of thankful after his presentation that he took it away from us. Any rate, we have 3 divisions. The accounting division, which is our catch-all division, that's support division for the town. Basically, the finance department is the support division for everybody else. Everything you hear tonight, but everybody else does, we have a hand in it in some way, some shape, or some form. Either whether it's the people that are hired, the accounting for grants, all that takes place, the purchasing, all that comes through the finance department. So in our accounting division, we have basically people who do payroll, accounts payable, accounts receivable, and accounting. Payroll, we do a biweekly payroll for about 300 people. Depending upon the time of year, it could be run from 250 to 300 people. On a weekly basis, we do a payroll for between 60 to 100 people, again, depending upon the time of the year. For most of those people, we also do benefit administration. We're responsible for insurance, benefits, pension benefits. We do it, all that for about 450 to 500 people when you count the full-time, part-time, and the retirees. So we're looking, we do all that for them. Accounts payable, we process about 13,000 payments to vendors each year. Most of them are through checks. Some are through EFTs. But the majority of them are through checks. We also do purchase orders through our payroll, our accounts payable system. Accounts receivable, even though we have a tax office, or the accounting division actually does do actually does collections. We process and collect about $5 million a year off, other than taxes, comes through our office. That's everything from police extra duty billings to payments to other towns for sewer assessments, actually the newest one we have now is for the regional dispatch. We build the town of Avon for that. So we actually do a accounts receivable function. And I don't think anybody here has ever been through, but any parking tickets, you would come to us also. So anytime the police have an enforcement, like when they park it, they take it all the high school students. We have a line of high school students at our door paying their tickets. Accounting, this thing I could tell you about accounting is you have that document in front of you that Catherine presented to you today. That's accounting in the finance department. That whole document, that takes about 5 months. We give it to them, they audit it, and that's it. So if you look in there, all those funds, we account for every single one of them. All the investment activity that takes place in there, all the debt management activity that takes place in there. I mean, that document, read that document, that's the finance department. I mean, it really is. That tells you what we do in a nutshell every year. And tax assessment is run by our tax assessor. They do the grand list. That's all the grand list and state grand list reporting it's done through that office. It's also every 4 years or every 5 years, the reval is done through that office. They're in negotiations constantly with residents and with commercial establishments on their assessments. They're in court pretty much quite a bit, a good portion of the year fighting assessment appeals, or they also work with staff with the Board of Assessment Appeals. They assist the Board of Assessment Appeals with their work. Tax collections, it's like it says, they collect all the property taxes in town. We issue about 40,000 tax bills a year. Most of them are motor vehicle tax bills, but there's still about 12,000 real estate tax bills, about 3,000 personal property tax bills, and the rest of them are motor vehicle bills. So they're constantly looking out there. And obviously the two busiest times of the year are July and January, but during the off time, they're out there collecting the delinquent taxes. They also collect the waste charges. They bill and collect the waste charges to your refuse collection, and also your sewer charges. We do that for the WPCA. Purchasing coordination, I don't say I'm a purchasing agent, but my office does do purchasing coordination. Most of the departments were decentralized with our purchasing for the smaller things. For the larger things, we do coordinate the bid process. We prepare the bid specs. We take the technical spec that's given to us, and we put on the boilerplate. We do the bid administration. We do everything through the start of the contract, and we hand it back to the departments. Most of the departments, though, for the smaller stuff, they're on their own to go out and find vendors, or if they ask for our assistance, we'll help them find vendors. Insurance and risk assessment, all the property casualty insurance, all the workers' comp insurance, all that comes through my office. We administer that. We do the negotiations. We look for the best price for the best coverage. We currently work with KERMA, which is a big help to us. And we also do risk assessment in terms of looking at projects and what their exposure are, collecting or chasing down insurance certificates from vendors and from people who want to do business with the town or even want to use town property. We do require insurance. We do require them to provide us proof of insurance. I've talked about this a lot, but debt management, we issue debt, we pay debt, we monitor the debt markets. So we're very active in the past few years with debt. We've issued over $100 million in debt in the past 3 years. And then cash management and investing, again, I would suggest that you read the audit report, look at that footnote section. It talks about what we do in terms of investing, but we're very active in the market. Right now we're investing all the tax money we collected last month. We're moving about $30 million into various money market accounts, CDs, and things like that. Hopefully to, again, generate interest that helps with our revenue, helps with our budget. And then finally, it's budget and budget prep and monitoring. I assist the town manager with her budget prep, and I also assist you with your budget deliberations, or hopefully assist you with your budget deliberations, and also we do budget monitoring during the year. So once the budget's done, it's just the start of the process for us, because we have to make sure that there's enough money in the budget, enough revenue comes in to support the budget, and people stay within their budgets. And if they don't stay within their budgets, find out why and make the necessary adjustments. For example, you probably all realize by now that we're out of snow and ice money. So let's we probably all say Navinas for that there's no more snow, and Russ doesn't have to send the troops out. But we'll be coming back, identifying sources of where we're going to cover that. And we do budget monitor basically every day, 365 days a year. So, and then last thing, it's kind of a thing is long-term financial forecasting. A couple of weeks ago, we gave the long-term financial forecast for the upcoming years, and we do those probably 2 times a year. Now we're doing them about 3 times a year. It started off as a 2 times a year process. Now we're doing them 2 times a year plus on demand. So it's another thing we do. We do all that with 11 staff people. And I call it the rule of 3.5, and this is purely coincidental, but each division actually has, excluding me, each division has 3.5 people. So the tax office has 3.5 people, the assessor's office has 3.5 people, and the accounting division has 3.5 people. And the reason why we have 3.5 is one person shared between 2 divisions, one person shared between our department and the town clerk's office. So it does add up. I have to take issue with what my colleague said about her staff, because I think I have the best staff in the town of Farmington, and I have a very good staff. I'm very fortunate, and my staff is very knowledgeable. They're very dedicated to the town, and most of them are very, and some of them, not all of them, some of them are what I would consider superstars. They would thrive in any department, and they probably should be playing. They probably should be in other towns or other organizations where they can make a lot more money for what they do, because they're very good, and I'm really proud of them. And I think we have a really good team with them. And also, many of the staff are cross-trained. They're cross-trained within their own department. They could do, or their own division, but they're also cross-trained within divisions. For example, I have one of the unique things we have here in Farmington is our deputy assessor is also a certified tax collector. And she can go and run the tax office if she needed to. And she often does when the tax office is out and due to various reasons. I have a staff person in accounting who could do any of the work in the tax office and could also get by very well in the assessor's office. It's a very good staff. They're very well trained. Challenges, my challenges are whatever everybody else's challenges are, because basically my office has to deal with whatever everybody else has to deal with. People have problems. People come and, they need assistance. We're there to help them. Biggest challenge is fraud. You just heard that from Brian. You're going to hear that from me. Cybersecurity and fraud are two things that we face every day, and you can never have enough training with this. We get it all the time. We get everything from people trying to steal other vendors' payments, to people forging checks, remote deposit of checks, and using your phone to deposit your checks is a great thing. I use it all the time. But check fraud it's rampant. I mean, we can get in banks process so many checks during the course of a day. It'll take them days or weeks before they'll actually realize that, oops, we shouldn't have processed that check. And you can get checks. I can give you an example. The Board of Education had a payroll check that somebody doctored. It was presented 7 times and cashed 7 times. Each time we caught it, each time the money came back, but it was processed 7 times. And every time you have to do that, you're going back to the bank, you're filling out the forms, you're talking to people. And the frustrating thing or concerning thing is there's nobody to report this to, because it gets reported, it goes wherever. It gets deposited in California. So it's a very difficult thing. Fortunately, we do have safeguards in place. We catch everything. We catch everything we know about. We've been able to reconcile our bank accounts, so I'm assuming we're catching everything. But it's a big concern. Phishing is a big concern out there, and we're always constantly educating our employees and always on guard for things like that. So I think that's about it. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Joe. Do we have any questions for Joe?
I have one.
Patty?
Do we have cybersecurity insurance?
We have Brian could probably talk about this more, but we do have a system that monitors all the emails that comes in and makes and looks at, sends us warnings about things that are taking place or suspicious things that are occurring. We are actually looking at, and I met with the vendor today. Just maybe address one of the things that came up with the auditor, the question, her recommendation. I met with the vendor today. We have a software system, accounting system. It's called Munis, and I met with the sales rep from Munis today. They're coming out with a new accounts payable module that will have an AI component that is specifically geared towards cybersecurity. And I asked them if we could be one of their test sites for it, but they already selected the 6 test sites. But they expect to roll this out. If all goes well, they'll be rolling it out in July. And when they roll it out in July, I asked them if we could be at the top of the list to actually be part of the rollout. So it will do things like, for example, you put in what your parameters are, what your guardrails are, and it will flag for those. So if you're paying a vendor once a year and you tell that we only pay that vendor once a year, if a second payment comes in during that same year, it's going to flag it and kick it out and ask you to override it or check on it. Things like that. If the vendor changes their address or their name more than twice a year, again, these are all guardrails you could put in there. It'll flag it. So we're looking at improving our cybersecurity, improving our processing. One thing I'd really like to do. I don't really like to do it because it's a horrendous process, but one of the things that you sometimes do is you sign up all your vendors, and you basically send out something to all your vendors saying, here's a form, fill out the form, and we'll reload you. If we don't get the form back, you're out. And it's a horrendous process. We have over 18,000 vendors on file. So And some of those are one-time vendors, but a lot of them are every month vendors. Like Eversource is an every month vendor. Obviously utilities, things like that. So it's a difficult process to weed and monitor that.
Do we have insurance coverage?
We do
for
not have
service too?
insurance. We had insurance up until about 3 years ago. We got dropped, not for anything that we did. The market tightened up at that point. We attempted to get insurance 2 years ago. The insurance companies did some probing and found some soft spots and denied the insurance. My understanding is that they would not be able to find those soft spots now that it's all been rectified. So I've been talking to to Kerma, people at Kerma, about putting in an application for July 1st and seeing what we can get for insurance.
Okay.
The market has also softened up quite a bit since then, so we'll probably look at it again this year.
Thanks.
I don't want to extend the night beyond, where we're at, but just quickly, you've been here since '04, you know what I mean? And was there a standalone treasurer in '04 versus it was always part of?
It was always part of the finance director.
Or finance director.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a trend, actually. You guys were probably one of the forerunners or leaders in that.
Okay.
Whoever was here before me, I'm not sure how it came about, but in many towns, especially of this size, they'll have either a separate elected treasurer,
Correct,
or a separate appointed treasurer.
correct.
And slowly that's been done away with in a lot of towns. They've gone to the combined, like for example, Simsbury now has a director of finance / treasurer. There are still my town I live in, they still have a separate appointed treasurer, part-time treasurer. But that trend has really been going away.
Got it. Thank you. That's it.
Anything else?
Thanks, Joe.
Joe, thanks so much for all you do. Appreciate it.
Next, we have Kat, who's our assistant town manager.
Hey, Kat.
Hello. So I'm Kat Krajewski, Assistant Town Manager. I've been with the town for 10 years, and I've served as Assistant Town Manager for just about 7 of those years. What does an Assistant Town Manager do? Well, it changes every day, but my general responsibilities include overseeing all aspects of HR management, from recruitment, onboarding, and training, to handling personnel issues, collective bargaining negotiations, and managing workers' compensation and FMLA leave for our employees. Working closely with department heads and staff to provide guidance on personnel matters and general operations questions, I try to make myself available as a sounding board or a resource to all of our employees. Conduct research, analyze data and trends, and make recommendations on various policies or initiatives for the town manager. Oversee the town's communication strategies to ensure we are providing accurate, accessible, and timely communications to our residents. Serve as a staff liaison and staff support on committees as assigned. Currently, those include, and take up a lot of my time, Farmington High School Building Committee, 1928 Building Committee, Ad Hoc Sidewalk Committee, and Ad Hoc Fire Station Committee. I also assist in the budget development and planning, which we are in the thick of right now. But all of this work would not be possible without the town manager's support staff in Devin, Amanda, and Melanie, as well as the collaboration across all town departments. So some HR highlights. In the past year, our HR initiatives have focused heavily on recruitment and retention. Our workforce is comprised of 159 full-time employees and 150 part-time or seasonal employees. For full-time recruitments, we fill approximately 27 vacancies per year, and this is our 3-year average. And that's a combination of both external recruitments and internal promotions. We've enhanced our recruitment and onboarding process to make it more streamlined and welcoming for new employees. And we've instituted an employee newsletter to strengthen internal communications and keep staff informed. Since COVID and our security audit, where the doors are closed at Town Hall, people seem like they're more in silos. And we have departments across town, so that newsletter enables people to receive updates, who's hired, who's retired, and really just keep all of our departments connected throughout the year. Some challenges that we see, we continue to face challenges in filling engineering-related positions, as Beth mentioned earlier, which is a trend for many municipalities due to a limited candidate pool. In Farmington, staffing levels are lean, and the expectation is a high level of service, so we do a lot with a little. And then I know we've discussed this during our strategic planning, as it is a future challenge to the organization, but developing a risk analysis for succession planning, and I look forward to working on that this year to accomplish one of your goals. Communication highlights. I have to give a shout out to Amanda Rubin, who's our Senior Communications Specialist. Amanda has a master's degree in public relations and corporate communication, and over the past 2+ years, she's really taken our communications to the next level. Not just only on social media, but you see it in our presentations, our reports, and the updates that we provide. Our goal is to always provide residents with trusted and accurate information. In an online world with AI and many opinions on social media, we want to be the verified source that residents go to for their information. A major improvement that we did this past year or so was separating out our communication channels. We have Explore Farmington, which focuses on lifestyle, culture, tourism, and community life, and Rose Ponte will talk about this at her budget meeting. And the Town of Farmington, which serves as a central hub for town news, announcements, and municipal services updates. This separation has made our messaging clearer and more effective in engaging both residents and visitors. We're constantly tracking our data across our platforms to see our top performing content, interactions, and reach to ensure residents receive the information that they are looking for. Challenges, communication in a municipal setting is oftentimes difficult because we work across so many disciplines. Sometimes what is a priority to one resident isn't even on another resident's radar. So sometimes it feels like the goalpost is always moving. But we're very steadfast in our goal to be the verified news source and provide information in a timely, accessible, and easy to digest manner. Communication is constant, so we look forward to working on some of our upcoming goals, including a website committee to enhance our online presence. And then when we talk about achievements, I would be remiss not to mention the FHS Building Committee and 1928 Committee. I think both of these projects speak for themselves, but both have been wonderful committees with dedicated volunteers, town staff, Board of Ed staff, professional partners, our legislative delegation, especially for the high school. And they're both prime examples of successful public infrastructure projects that will benefit the community for generations to come. And I'm just very proud to have served on both of those committees. And we are so excited for our move this week to the new town hall. So that's it in a nutshell. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions at all for Kat? Other than thanks so much for everything you do, Kat.
You have a
You're
busy
rock
week.
star.
You have a busy week.
Thank you. Thank you for all you do, Kat.
Thank you.
You're good. Thank you. Okay, let's move on. D, public hearing, we have none. E, new items, we have none. Let's move on to F, public comments. If anyone is in chambers who would like to make a comment, please come up to the podium. You have 5 minutes. Give us your name and your address, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Turn it a little bit. Who am I talking to? I'll talk to all of you. My name is Amy Seferdini, 5 Hart Street. I'll start with 3 facts. About 25% of Farmington is senior citizens. ARP recently said Farmington is the 4th best town in all of Connecticut to live in for seniors, which is pretty outstanding, although we can even get better. And the third thing is when NBC Connecticut wanted to answer the question, what do you do before this crazy storm a week and a half to help your seniors, where did they come? They came to Farmington, and they interviewed Nancy Parent, and she spoke about our list of people who are in need or at-risk people in need and what we're doing, as well as they came and spoke to the executive director of Hope, and she spoke about the Meals on Wheels program, what they were going to do, and her general advice that just in this town, check on your neighbors, check on your senior neighbors. So the reason I bring those 3 simple things up is we all know one thing. Farmington is an amazing place to be a senior, and we have a lot of seniors. And the first thing I'd like to say is it is an amazing place because of all of your leadership and people like Nancy. We take care of our seniors. We make sure they're safe. We make sure they're healthy. And we make sure they have the place in this community that they call home. And I think that's huge. That third piece is super important. you guys are the leaders, you take care of them, but you have this one little arm that helps you sometimes. And that one little arm is kind of why I'm here today. That one little arm is a nonprofit. It's made up of 120 volunteers in Farmington, an amazing executive director, and a pretty active board of directors. And that is Hope Partners of Farmington. I'm a member of Hope Partners of Farmington. What I think all of you know, because many of you were at our open house, and I thank you very much. We're in charge of congregate meals. We're in charge of Meals on Wheels, Friendly Shoppers, the medical equipment store or closet, depending on what you call it, additional transportation for medical appointments, sort of working with the town, as well as forget-me-not programs, which we go and we bring wonderful little gifts to people in town just to remind them that you're part of this town and we're thinking of you. So those 6 programs are the main things of what we do. I'm a board member. That's why I'm here. I'm speaking to you today. And first and foremost, I want to thank you for housing us, because currently you house us at the community center. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you for adding to our budget, helping us every year. And thank you for collaborating with us. I mean, we all together work to do right by our seniors. They're deserving and appreciative crowd that often doesn't advocate for themselves. And that's one of the reasons we're all here. Also here today, in addition to a thank you, is to tell you what I told Kathy, your town manager, and Kat in a meeting with a few other people. We will be asking for a little more help this year. And it's not because we're not working overtime to try to get funding, but we have 2 big problems. One, our main donor, United Way, changed their criteria, and they no longer accept us. So we lost a big chunk of money from them. But our other big problem, ironically, is when you go to probably the vast majority of anyone in town and tell them about these programs and ask them to donate, they're like, well, the town pays for that. Why would I pay for that? My tax dollars are covered. So because we all work so nicely together, people often are not donating to us. We're going to keep working to increase our numbers, but we need a little more assistance. So as I said, we spoke with Kathy. We very much ask that you guys get a little more assistance upcoming year. We're not going away. The people on Hope, the volunteers, I mean, these people are so dedicated to doing right, and we're going to continue to do that. But from a financial standpoint, if we continue to operate in the red like we've been doing it for within 3 years, we're out of reserves. We don't have the money anymore. So we ask for a little more assistance. We will continue working as hard as we can with the goal jointly as partners to keep our seniors safe, keep them healthy, and again, make sure that they are part of this community that they call home. So I just wanted to touch base with you, ask you for your help. Thank the town manager very much for meeting with us and collaborating with us. So, and we have Dean here, who we wanted to have, a woman was going to come and speak who her mom benefits from Hope, but it got really late, so now we have a letter.
Thanks, Amy.
Five minutes.
I will reset your time.
I won't need the full 5 minutes. So Dean Delatch, 29 Basswood Road. So I actually wasn't going to speak tonight, but as Amy said, we did get a letter on behalf. What's that?
Oh, sorry.
I did, yeah. On behalf of a town resident. So I'm just going to read the letter. It's pretty short. So the letter starts, greetings to you all. My name is Kathy Joslin, and my elderly 93-year-old mother has been a resident of Unionville for 10 years. With the support of wonderful community support entities such as Hope Partners of Farmington, along with a significant number of volunteers, Mom and our family rest easy knowing that she's cared for and looked after and valued. She participates in the Meals on Wheels program 3 days a week. Not only is she receiving nutritious meals, but just as importantly, she's being checked and monitored by volunteers, providing an extra pair of eyes and ears for our family. Having a friendly greeting, a short visit, or sharing a joke breaks up the day for folks who are shut in with limited mobility. When Mom first moved here, she got around okay, but slowly we saw that she needed some help with her walking.
A new neighbor recommended the medical equipment closet, so we went down and signed out a cane. Time passed and Mom needed more stability, so we signed out a walker with a pocket and fold-up seat. A very helpful item. Years passed and we needed to find a transfer chair and a shower chair. The medical equipment closet had those available. Recently, we had to search for a transfer chair with a wider seat. Lo and behold, with the help of the great staff, including Mike Festa, and I'll make a little aside here, Mike Festa is not a paid staff, he's a volunteer, but it just goes to show the dedication of the volunteers that she thought he was a paid staff person. Anyway, we found the needed chair. The fees for signing out the various pieces of equipment are more than fair, and they are manageable for just about all clients. The cards, little gifts, and cheerful surprises from the Forget-Me-Not program are greatly appreciated by Mom. They always bring a smile to her face, and they are such positive perks. We are extremely grateful for the heartfelt concern, care, attention, and problem-solving abilities that the Hope Partners of Farmington provide to our senior community. With more and more of us approaching those senior years, no doubt the cost of providing this care will increase. Please provide extra financial support to not only continue but expand the programs that Hope Emery, who's the founder of Hope Partners, initiated. What an incredible legacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Is there anybody else in chambers who would like to make a statement? Please come up. Just provide your name and address for us. We look forward to hearing from you, Barry.
Barry Aguado. I was going to say my Long Island address. 36 Westview Terrace, Unionville. I learned a lot today. I've never been to one of these meetings. I listened to a couple, but I've never been on site. And I'll tell you, I'm more happy I'm here. And, mine has to do with taxes and concerns about taxes. When we first moved here, we moved here for our grandchildren. So me and my wife said, we're going to leave our house to our grandkids, to our granddaughter and grandson, and they'll have a home. They won't have to worry about it. But then I noticed that in 22, I got a 14% increase. That was with the reassessment. And then in 23, I got a 5.1% increase. And then in 2023, I got a 4.6 increase. And I thought to myself, what's that going to be in 20 years? So I created a spreadsheet with if taxes were 2%, 3%, 4%, 4.5%, and I saw how it grew if it was 4.5%, which the last 2 years were in that rate, plus another 5% for every reassessment year. That's what I put in the sheet, and you'll see it if you guys look at it. So I saw the numbers were so high, and then you have to make two payments of. At some point, it's going to be two payments of $10,000 if it keeps going, and even two payments of $20,000 if it keeps going the way it is. So those were my big concerns, and I applaud and praise the effort to keep cost reduction in the budget process to keep our mill rate on the lower side of the comparative valley towns. However, taxes are still rising, and worried about property taxes reaching unattainable levels of taxes. So that's really my big concern. I don't think I need to read all this. And everything I heard here, I learned a lot, that there's more things happening here than I have no idea. So I want to be a nice guy. I don't want to be a, I don't want to be a problem.
We're glad to have you in Farmington, Barry.
Yep. Thank you.
We value your comments.
All right, thank you very much. You have the sheets. I have on the sheet. I put my email address, and if anyone wants to reach out to me or ask me a question, I'm glad to talk.
Thanks.
Kat, do you have his comments?
I have them.
Okay, can you make sure you pass them around?
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Is there anyone else in chambers who would like to make a comment? Kat, do we have anyone online who would like to make a comment?
I do not see any hands raised.
All right. We'll give it a 1, a 2, a 3. All right. We will close comments. Thank you very much, everyone, for speaking and sharing your thoughts. Let's move on to G, the reading of minutes. Would you like to make a motion on number 1?
I move that we I move to approve the January 13th, 2026 regular town council meeting minutes.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just had two minor corrections. Unfortunately, I forgot my copy with me. So we appointed land use council Pullman and Comley. It's Pullman, P-U-L-L. Oh, sorry, it's Comley that's misspelled. C-O-M-L-E-Y is the correct spelling. And then for item L43, in parentheses, it says Fagan. It should say Davidson because Lisa Fagan was replacing Josh Davidson.
Thank you for getting those. Other than those, are there any other adjustments? All in favor of approving the minutes as adjusted? Say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? Passes unanimously. Item 2.
I move that we approve the January 20th, 2026 special town council meeting minutes.
Second.
Any discussion?
Was that the one that Tim Kelly took issue with his comment? And that got corrected?
Okay, those were adjusted.
The only thing I would do is under goal 5, it says council members stated that the track is currently in poor condition and that the preferred approach would be to address. Was that a specific council member? I don't know. I don't think I was part of the council member.
I definitely said it was in poor condition. I'm not any expert to say what needs to happen.
Right.
I just know anecdotally what I saw. So I may have been that council member. I don't know.
Okay.
As far as the recommendation, I don't know.
Right. Okay. I was just curious, because I think further along, I think we need to have a scope, you know what I mean, versus just anecdotally saying it needs to be replaced.
I agree.
So if we don't, understanding that, that's fine.
Good as stands, because we'll be talking about that further.
Mm-hmm.
Are we good? So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Passes unanimously. Item 3.
I move for approval of the January 27, 2026 regular town council meeting minutes.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, just a minor note on section D3 at the bottom. The range we said would be 3 to 4.5, and I think it says 3 to 4. So minor change.
So might change to 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? Okay, are you guys okay with moving that to 4.5?
Yep.
All right, let's move that to 4.5. So with that adjustment, is everyone, all those in favor of approving the minutes with that adjustment?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Passes unanimously. All right, let's move on to H, the report of the town manager. Kathy, it's yours.
You have the written report in front of you. We are moving out of this town hall, so we have an update. We've been doing some social media and some different things. I don't know if you saw the sign on the door and things like that.
I saw the Instagram post.
And the Instagram post, yeah. So we're basically all packed up, and movers are coming for a lot of the offices over President's Day, and so we are good to go. And wanted to talk about that, and just that also the offices are going to be closed on Monday, and we have an item later on, but we are proposing that we have the public hearing on the Meadow Road sidewalks at the second April Town Council meeting, and setting that date in advance so people know that it is coming. And so that is an item later on. And then the last thing I just wanted to say is that I would be remiss with the staff that came in tonight, and that, really everyone here does a super, super job for working for the town of Farmington. And I think we're really, really fortunate to have such a great team of people. So I just wanted to thank them all, and just I wouldn't be able to do what I do without all of them. And everyone really, I think, cares a lot about the town of Farmington, and is very, very conscientious about doing the best they can for the town and for the residents.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for leading that team,
And that's it.
I make a motion to approve the town manager's report.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Approved unanimously. Let's move on to, I don't believe there is any unfinished business, so we'll move on to J, new business.
I move to set up public hearing on February 24th, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the Town Hall Council Chambers on the town manager's proposed 7-year capital improvement plan.
Second.
So this would be in February 24th, and it would be our typical schedule where we'd have the public hearing, and then the Board of Education will be coming, and then we'll have our town departments coming.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved unanimously. Thank you very much. Let's move on to item 2.
I move to set a public hearing on March 10th, 2026 at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Council chambers on the town manager's fiscal year 26-27 recommended 2026-27 recommended budget.
Second.
This would be a public hearing on my budget, and that would be on March 10th.
Discussion?
Yes, correct. So that's night one, right? And then we meet the next couple of days.
Yes.
Go over before the 4 o'clock meeting start.
Yeah.
2 days.
Yep, exactly. So this would be the Tuesday night. Typically, the Board of Education
Right.
comes on the Wednesday. We meet on Thursday, and we meet on that Saturday.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Let's go to item 3.
I move to set a public hearing on April 28th, 2026 at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Council chambers on the proposed Meadow Road sidewalk project.
Second.
This public hearing concerns the proposed Meadow Road sidewalk project, and I'm recommending that the hearing be scheduled for April to avoid conflicts with the budget cycle and the town hall relocation.
Beautiful. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Let's go on to item 4.
I move to award a contract in the amount of $103,000 to Yield Industries of Torrington, Connecticut to install sidewalks and a bleacher pad at the Tungus Mead Soccer Turf Field, subject to approval from the State of Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development and the State Commission on Human Rights and Opportunities.
Second.
Any discussion? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
So this is, again, from our STEEP grant, and as outlined in the STEEP grant application, the addition of accessible walkways to the turf field will ensure that all residents, including those with mobility challenges, can access the field and the spectator areas. Additionally, the walkway will provide a designated access route to the field, minimize the tracking of debris onto the turf, and help to reduce the maintenance and repairs cost. This is a STEEP grant, which will provide 66% or $67,908 for funding for this contract, and the balance will be funded through the town's recreation fund.
Is there any further discussion?
The only discussion I have, and maybe Russ could help me on this, or Jess, do we have an engineer that has laid it out? Or are we okay? So that's what I'm saying. It's been done in-house. Okay, yeah, okay. That's what because I was just wondering if they're going to be responsible, but we're going to be responsible for setting those grades, making sure that got it. And then the bleacher pad, is there a bleacher that's coming at a later date for the bleacher pad? So we're going to take that, we're going to put the pad down, we're going to put it back. Okay, I wasn't sure if that we were repurposing that or we were getting like new bleachers or something. Got it. Okay, perfect. Thanks. Thank you for your clarification.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Let's move on to item 5.
I move to approve the property tax refunds as shown in the agenda.
Second. Sorry about that. I was like drifting out for a second.
All right, do you see the tax things in front of you? Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Move on to K, appointments.
K1, I move that Halloran and Sage LLP be appointed as Corporation Counsel for the period January 2026 through January 2028.
Second.
So Halloran and Sage, as the note says, has been our town attorney since 2012, and we are pleased with their service, and I'm recommending that we reappoint the firm as our Corporation Counsel.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Passes unanimously.
K2, I move that Ken Slater be appointed as Assistant Corporation Counsel for the period January 2026 through January 2028.
Second.
So Ken Slater, I think many of you know him. He came and did our training. He will be our point of contact for Halloran and Sage.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
K3, I move that Abby Barretto be appointed to the Avon and Farmington America 250th Celebration Joint Subcommittee for an indefinite term beginning immediately.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
K28, I move that Nadine Canto be appointed as liaison to the Library Board and be removed as a member of the Water Pollution Control Authority effective immediately.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
K29, I move that Keith Vibert be appointed as liaison to the Water Pollution Control Authority and be removed as a member of the Library Board effective immediately.
Any discussion? Oh, sorry.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
K30, I move that Dave Lutkowski be appointed as liaison to the Retirement Board and that Bruce Polsky be removed as a member of the Retirement Board effective immediately.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. There is no executive session. Reports of committees. Do we have a report from the 1928 building?
Yeah, I'll just make it quick. It was my first meeting that I attended, and basically it was held on January 27th, 2026. And the KBE was the architect. Russ was there as well as Mason. It was basically information that came forward. I'll just be really quick. The base contract is $12,275,000. Change orders to date are $540,962. Right now, the project total for construction is $13,315,962. What's been paid to date is $12,349,941, and it's 93% complete. That was the 27th. I'm sure it's at a different stage right now. There were some things that were weather related that couldn't just get off the ground until the weather turned. I think the weather's turning, so some of the final details and final things that need to happen will happen, and the move is obviously commenced.
All right, thank you. Anything for the ad hoc fire station?
We met last Friday, and we have we're working with Chris Nardi, the architect from Silver Petrocelli. We have one more session with him, and we'll be in a position in another month or so to make a final recommendation for a building committee.
Thank you very much. Next, we have the sidewalk committee. Keith, would you like to mention anything about the sidewalk committee?
Just next Thursday, the date of which is the 19th, in the Yates room at the police station at 7 o'clock, we're having our community meeting regarding some of the work we've been doing at the Sidewalk Ad Hoc Committee. So there'll be a presentation followed by Q&A. Really useful, and it's something that we've been building towards for the last 6-8 months. So hope anybody who's interested in sidewalks comes out.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll talk about the Avon and Farmington America 250th celebration. We met last night for the first time, did introductions, got a look at the site, and decided that we're going to meet again in 3 weeks and take a look at our communications plan. We reviewed the volunteer plan. We were talking about what activities we're going to be doing leading up to the event that we're going to hold in Avon, and we're working jointly with Avon. And we have a strong team of people putting together an awesome celebration for us.
Perfect.
Thank you. Bicycle Advisory Committee, anything?
We'll be meeting tomorrow, so we'll probably next cycle would probably be the best time to give you an update.
Beautiful. Board of Ed?
Board of Ed met 2 Saturdays ago at their budget workshop and passed on their Monday night meeting a recommended budget of 4.35% increase from their previous year's budget. I don't have the number off the top of my head. I'm sorry. And then obviously they'll be presenting, when they come see us come budget time in March. And they'll be here for capital also, I think, as well. And I understand the new superintendent did a fantastic job in presenting the budget.
Awesome. Thank you. Conservation Inland Wetlands.
Conservation Inland Wetlands last met January 7th. They approved an application for construction of a new 12-foot by 6-foot pavilion along Dunning Lake at Winding Trails along the camp waterfront. They also reviewed an application from Metro Realty for a parking lot installation at 20 Scott Swamp Road, determined it was a non-significant activity, so it was approved as doesn't have any direct impact to wetlands. And then the town planner provided an update on wetlands restoration at 114 West Avon Road associated with the cease and desist order. Their next meeting is February 18th at 7 p.m. on Zoom.
Thank you. Anything for economic development?
Economic Development met again January 27th in the afternoon here in the council chambers. The two items on that agenda, one was going to be a presentation of Big Y with the fact that they're looking to develop over at the West Farm Mall site. That did not happen. The person was tied up with some other activity and couldn't make that presentation. And then the other presentation was the consideration of maybe putting together a restaurant week for May for Farmington. There was information about a person did a presentation as far as what it takes to pull that together. He does this as an activity, and he's going to be looking at doing that here in Farmington in the May-June timeframe. Details to be DBB.
Beautiful. Thank you. Anything for the Farmington High School Building Committee?
They met 2 weeks ago, was the last meeting I attended, and they're in the process of they're winding up paying invoices, purchase order issues, and also some change orders that need to be sorted out. I understand there's some issues with respect to how the no, I don't want to say it like that. They're doing their due diligence and administratively wrapping up their work at the high school. We did talk a little bit about how to handle the track and the turf situation. There's more to come on that as well. And I think there's some concerns about, not concern, but some thought to perhaps streamlining their wrapping up process to perhaps making things a little easier, not having necessarily as many meetings because they're just doing some really doing administrative things at this point in time. So maybe kind of streamlining that process to try to get this to the finish line more efficiently.
Awesome. Thank you. I don't believe we have anything from Farmington Historic District. So Green Efforts Committee?
Green Efforts met last week. First and foremost, the town cleanup is scheduled for April 25th. The committee is currently gathering the awards for Heaviest Haul. A sign-up genius will be coming out for volunteers. Hopefully it won't rain this year. And I hope to see everyone out picking up trash. The committee also discussed public education topics and presentations and what the committee wants to focus on in the next year. And as I mentioned during the discussion with our legislators, the committee's planning an event regarding waste reduction, and the topics are loosely right now recycling and composting, and they're working on lining up speakers. This will be at Main Library on Tuesday, April 21st at 6:30 p.m. And finally, the committee approved funding the composting station at IAR using Green Efforts funds, so that's now fully funded, and hopefully we'll be moving forward soon.
Thank you very much. Anything for Human Relations Committee?
Yes, Human Relations last met January 15th. The next meeting is February 26th at the Staples Center at Staples House at 7. The last meeting discussed the committee structures and subcommittees. The committee decided to add a racial inclusion advocacy subcommittee, and working on determining, finding members for that. There are some folks who are members of the Racial Equality Task Force that are also interested in this subcommittee. They also reviewed upcoming plans for the year and recognitions of different heritage months. And in that regard, they presented a proclamation for recognizing January was Muslim Heritage Month. So they presented a proclamation on January 30th at the Farmington Valley American Muslim Center.
Thank you. I don't believe we have anything for land acquisition. Library board, do we have anything for that? All right. I'm guessing no. All right. A retirement board. Anything there?
No, nothing
Okay.
yet.
So I just wanted
Something
to
coming up soon.
put out, you never know. Town planning and zoning.
Town planning and zoning, there have been 3 meetings since we last did an update, so on a couple of important things to catch the council up on. At the January 26th meeting, the Goldfish Swim School is having a new sign where the former Barnes & Noble is on Southeast Road. That was approved, so just a sign at this point. Looks nice. You can see that there. The bigger development at that meeting, though, was the approval of the project for 20 Scott Swamp Road, which is the former Touch Points nursing home, which is notable as an 830G housing project. It's behind the CVS there, and it's been vacant for some time. The new project is going to consist of 4 2-story buildings, 1 3-story building, with 62 multifamily supportive housing apartments, 80% of which will be considered affordable. So that's 49 affordable housing units, 14 at market rate. The former Touch Points building is going to be completely demolished. The timing they're thinking, if the approvals go, would probably be later this year when they would begin that, and the demolition would begin. Just for reference, the Touch Point building was built in 1980, and it housed 105 residents and over 100 staff. The new project, which has no name, is going to have all new landscaping, new infrastructure, and it will take about 14 to 18 months to build after the demolition. So we're probably talking about early 2028 before they would start to be occupied. A couple of data points I want to share with the council, just because I think it's useful to know to add in, because of this being a affordable housing. The Up House condominiums where the former Marriott is. Anybody know what a 1-bedroom apartment costs? It's $2,500 a month to have that at market rate. Olmsted, which is the development at 80 Batterson Park Road, that's $2,885. So as currently, if Scott Swamp was there, a 1-bedroom apartment would be $1,734 at 80% of AMI, and $1,021 at 50% of AMI. And just to refresh for affordable housing, AMI stands for the area median income, which for a 1-person household is about $71,000. So when you have affordable housing, you have some at 80%, some at 50% as you set it up in order to qualify for that. In terms of our affordable housing numbers, as you all know, it's 10% is the goal. The last recorded number for Farmington is 8.8% of that 10% limit. The 2025 number hasn't been calculated yet, but it'll come out. We're thinking it'll probably be around 9.3 at this point once Trailside comes on and 80 South Road is in there. And this new development may well take us up over the 10%. In terms of school-age children, they're estimating 12 to 16 school-age children will be housed there, and it will be aimed at workforce housing like the Trailside project on New Britain Avenue. So sorry to go on a little bit long. I thought those were useful data points for the group. Last night was another long-running meeting. The Farmington Country Club is putting an addition on their men's locker room, and if you're facing the building, that's going to be on the left-hand side on Waterville Road as you're heading north across from the most famous vacant building in Farmington. That they'll be adding a 2,400 square foot extension to the building there, so you should see that, and there'll be some more arborvitaes and things to cover that. The Big Y supermarket was also approved last night, going in the West Farms Mall at the southeast corner, 50,000 square foot. The primary concerns being raised by neighborhood residents and others is of course traffic. As we all know, traffic is a situation there, but they don't think it's going to be any worse than it is based on what they reported. There was some skepticism to that, but it was passed anyways as they go through that. Last important note, Farmington Motorsports is looking to add parking, expanding in their area on 148 Brickyard Road, and that was also approved, but with some conditions attached as we went late into the evening. So that's the update from TPZ.
All right, thank you very
Can I
much.
ask a question, Bruce, if you don't mind? So, the Touchpoint development, you said there's 64 multifamily units. Did I hear you correctly?
62.
62 multifamily units, and you said that the expectation is 12 to 16 school-age children.
Correct.
Do you know, or was it presented as to where they got that information from?
Yes, they said they ran two different studies. I didn't write it in my note. Well,
That's okay, that's
one
fine.
of them began with a B, like the Barnhard method, and the other method. So they used two different methods. One came 12 to 14. The other one said 12 to 16. So they presented 12
The
to
reason
16.
why I asked that is, we just redistrict no walls based on certain expectations and certain. I'm not so sure. This project doesn't sound like it was even on the radar of what we were considering redistricting. So I just, from my old planning and zoning hat from many, many years ago, I am skeptical when people say make a projection of 12 to 16, and then next thing you know, with 62 units that are going to be multifamily, we have experience in other areas of town where those numbers actually get skewed. I just worry about the enrollment issue and the enrollment projection. I'm just curious. So I appreciate you sharing that information. I'm just not sure what I want to do with it yet, but it was helpful, very helpful. I'll certainly share it with the chairman of the board of ed, make sure she's aware of it as well.
Very good.
Awesome, thank you. How about Unionville Historic District Commission? Do we have anything?
No update. We were supposed to meet first week of February. They canceled that meeting. I think we're meeting in the first week of March.
Okay, awesome, thank you. I don't believe there's anything for water pollution control. And I don't know, are there any other committee reports that we haven't heard from? All right, I think we're good. So I'll move on to the chair report. Just a couple of notes. We've covered a lot of things in here, so I'll skip over that when I get to it. But last month, the town council established our strategic plan outlining our goals for the next 2 years. I want to thank everyone for their input and their collaboration on making what I think is a really strong and achievable 2-year plan. You can find this plan on the town website for review if you'd like to take a look at it. And information gathering has begun as we prepare to discuss next year's budget. I want to welcome everyone who's listening to be a part of the process. Look online for the schedule of budget meetings or sign up for Everbridge text or email messages about upcoming meetings. You can find the Everbridge Emergency and Community Alert System sign-up link on the town's homepage. So that's how you can stay connected and informed about what's coming up around here in town. Some upcoming events that I'd like you to put on your radar. It is tax season, and the volunteer income tax assistance is available to individuals and families whose combined annual income is no more than $69,000. You can call 860-424-7185 to schedule an appointment now through April 11th, and that will be at the First Church of Christ congregational offices. Also, the Ad Hoc Sidewalk Committee, as you have heard, will hold their public information meeting on February 19th at 7 p.m. at the Yates Community Room at the Farmington Police Station. Please join us for that, because there's a lot that we will be sharing with you, and we do want to hear from everyone about your opinions on sidewalks in town. Also, Hope Partners is having a Dine to Donate fundraising event on March 9th, 11:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. For dine-in, or takeout, and a percentage of the proceeds will help their mission. So let's help each other. This is a great community, and I know that I will see a lot of you there for dinner. The East Farmers Volunteer Fire Department is having their upcoming pancake breakfast March 22nd. So I just want to put that on your radar. And also I want to put on your calendar the America 250th celebration on Friday, June 26th. You will be seeing a lot of support for that and a lot of promotion. And we look forward to having all of you join us for this historic event. And you heard about the town hall moving. We'll be starting this Friday, and there is all sorts of information to find out just when you can get stuff done as we move offices. I'm sure it's going to go smoothly. If you go to the town website, you can get information. When you do come in, we will be there to assist you in getting to the correct place to take care of your business. And just again, another reminder that the town offices will be closed on Monday, February 16th for the President's Day holiday. That's my report. Very good. All right.
I make a motion to adjourn tonight's town council meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You're good. Passed unanimously.